Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. As you may or may not have noticed, our previous episode kicked off the 4th season of Free Range Idiocy, that little podcast that could, or as it's more accurately described by our families, the biggest waste of time and resources of our entire lives. What? Either way, we decided to celebrate with a little bit more, and the first time in damn near 20 years, we went on a road trip across this great land of ours. Well, rolling. Actually, we flew for the most part because we're old. Yes, the idiots landed in Colorado in the land of mountains, Coors beer, and legal weed was never quite the same. We're going to run it all down, plus a whole bunch of news in this episode 110, Idiots on the Road. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who is a travel tip ninja and a connoisseur of great accommodations. He has been my partner in idiocy for over 2 decades and is a longtime subscriber to Better Sheds and Hovels. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. Thank you for the kind words on my skills when it comes to finding the accommodations for our journeys.
Yes, we will definitely get into that because that was a defining part of the trip, shall we say. However,
we were more at peace kind of toward the end of it finally, but
yeah, anyways. it was a bit of it was a surprise, shall we say. All around. It was a surprise. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Yes, we are going to cover the trip that we just took, the reason why we were off for an extra week there. We went on the road to Colorado to go see a concert at Red Rocks, which I am going to just say right now, I give it 12 out of 10, would highly recommend. If you ever get the chance, I don't care if there's a guy playing a kazoo and a dancing bear on stage, just go. It's worth it. And you know what? It'll probably be the best that dude's ever sounded on a kazoo in his life. And I'm sure the light show will amp up the dancing bear. Although, really, who needs to amp up a dancing bear? It's just kind of cool, especially if they moonwalk. Anyways, I lost track of where I was completely, which is a new record for the show, by the way. Before we get into all that, however, we have a little thing here that we like to call the Week in Geek, where we kind of dive. The man they call Tim dives into some of these tidbits of things that are going on in the geek, the geekosphere, as I will call it, out there on the interwebs.
The Week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
And what do we have this week, sir?
Well, let's call this one, if we dedicate an entire episode to trying to drain the interwebs of any stories of note and trailers and so forth, well,
yes,
it didn't work because the interwebs produced more news than we're going to be able to go through in one Week in Geek segment. So we are going to dedicate this Week in Geek to the man, the myth, the legend, Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yes.
And you may ask why.
Just let me note this first, because I know that everyone's is now they're still in the wrapped, afterglow, post-coital afterglow of the San Diego Comic-Con that was this year and all the stuff that happened. And they're probably wondering, why are we not talking about that stuff? And the reason is we've been sleeping most of the past 4 days to make up for like the 3 days that we were in Colorado. So we missed everything. Yeah. And if you've been out in the interweb in the last couple days, everybody pretty much has that hung up by every extremity and has been milking all that sweet, sweet, sweet news out. We're gonna let that simmer for a week. We're gonna come back with our more reasoned thoughts. Who the hell am I kidding? We're just gonna wing it next week, anyways, and you'll get the same thing. But you know what? It'll be funnier because there'll probably be fart jokes. So, anyways, yes, let's get on to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Oh my gosh, what happened today, sir?
May I just point out,
yes,
this all started on Friday my birthday. So my gift
Your gift was
from
Vince
the universe
ever just being shuffled off to the side. That's great.
was the fact that maybe we'll still have Vince's shrunken head in cryogenics like you're predicting at some point, but Vince is no longer part of WWE. He is retired. He is no longer a part of creative. He is no longer a CEO. He is walking away.
He is nothing. He is like Kane from Kung Fu. He's going to go walk the earth.
That's right.
What I love is the fact that like in his like tweet on this, he's like, well, I'm approaching 77. It's time to retire. Like as if this is his decision. I love that. I just love how, you know what? Vince is so damn delusional right to the end. I mean, in a way, you have to admire that in some small way that he's just like, well, pal, I'm just going to do it my way. No, you're not, Vince. Like you're being pushed out. It's like the guy who's like at the bar and they're like, you got to go. You got to, all right. And he's like halfway out the door. He's like, fine, I'll leave. And it's like, dude, you're already out the door. You're on the sidewalk as you're saying you're going to leave. You've left.
Wait, are you talking about Mumbles? Are you talking about Mumbles?
Let's leave Mumbles for later. You've been forced to leave already. As Ron White would say, you've been put into public, you know, like,
yeah.
So Vince is like this whole thing, like, well, I'm going to retire. Okay, whatever makes you feel good, Vince. Jeez.
Yeah.
$12 million in hush puppies. I was going to have Jerry Lawler cross in on for a minute.
Jeez.
$12 million.
Oh my gosh.
$12 million in hush money payments that we know about.
Yeah.
You know. Oh no, I'm going to retire, pal. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop myself. So what are the details surrounding this, sir? We have no more Vince to kick around.
No, it was a bit of and it was funny because as we were on the trip, you know, this is tangential to our trip. I mean, this was a conversation we had. We were chatting about, hey, what's going on? We haven't heard anything about the Vince McMahon thing, and we were both like kind of astounded that nothing has come of this because this was like pretty serious, you know, allegations and pretty serious stuff that happened. You know, especially with the potential, I believe, misuse of funds, which we'll get to in a moment, because that's a story that broke today. But
which I mean, honestly, the thing that I think both of us came up with is that like the longer Vince was allowed to be part of creative, because he was still head of creative, he didn't give that up. He gave up being chairman of the board, CEO.
Yeah,
but he was still head of creative and still at all the TV shows. Like, it's a ticking time bomb that this dude is just going to make a judgment call to walk out on Raw and vent his spleen. Like, and we were both like, how in the high holy crap is this? Are they allowing this to keep going?
Yeah. But
now it seems like maybe they were negotiating or just like, okay, Vince, let's twist your arm a little bit more.
I thought I was just overtired from the trip and needed to take an afternoon, you know, nap or something like that. Like I was misreading something, but no, it popped in and Vince retired. And I was like, wow, I never thought I would like most articles called out like most wrestling articles, sorry, not news articles, but most wrestling fan articles were calling out the fact that pretty much it was universally accepted that this man was not going to step down until it was time for the head to go to the cryogenic chamber, apparently. So
that was my joke. I was like, we're never getting rid of this guy. He is going to Casey Jones this thing. He's going to have one hand on the whistle and just drive the thing right into a friggin' mountain.
Yep.
And wow. Yep.
But not to be. And so, and there was a hint throughout the day of, well, maybe he's still going to have, you know, his fingers on the reins of creative and that sort of thing. And the articles that I posted, and I do need to give credit to, you know, for all of these news items. This is a site I have frequented for many, many years. Very, very good source of wrestling insider knowledge. CagesideSeats.com is where all of these articles are coming from. They have done the heavy lifting and work. I am simply the Sherpa, if you will. We'll get to that later.
You're a conduit for the information.
A conduit of the information, indeed. But that was kind of a widely accepted feeling, was that Vince would ride off into the sunset on his own terms, and that did not happen. The announcement came out. it is also kind of tangential to the whole thing. I don't have an article on this, but it's pretty much accepted because of I believe his involvement in some of this. John Laurinaitis, who is former head of talent relations. He is pretty much on sabbatical and will be out. I don't think they've officially announced him as terminated, but he will most likely be. And then there's more.
Well, the first thing is they got to go find John out. They got to pick him up under from whatever bus that Vince threw him under, and then pick him up, put him back down so the bus can roll over him again. And then they're going to huck him out the door into public, as Ron White would say.
Oh, yeah. So that was Friday.
Guy. Oh.
So Friday, we had the weekend to kind of digest this all and kind of process and think on.
I love how you're pretending that I had anything to do with this. Like, I was sleeping most of Friday. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Honestly, I was pretty tired over the weekend. I don't know why. I took a couple COVID tests to make sure I didn't pick anything up, when we were out and about, and I didn't. But I was feeling really run down, and then and now I got my energy back. So
it's like Wayne's World. Like, I thought I had mono for 2 years. Turns out I was really bored.
So Vince stepping down was Friday. And so in the wake of that, the first bit of fallout from that was immediately announced that Stephanie McMahon will be a co-CEO with Nick Khan, who has been on the board of directors. And so they will be co-CEOs moving forward. And that was Friday. So that was the news announced Friday. So I was thinking...
Isn't it? And that also in that same thing, wasn't it? Stephanie is the chairwoman of the board, and then co-CEO. Isn't that two separate positions?
Yes, you are correct. Chairwoman of the board and co-CEO. Correct.
Yeah, and Nick Khan, for anyone who doesn't know, if you've watched anything in wrestling for like the last 2 years, like the like monthly talent cuts. Budget related, and I am using my air quotes and raising my eyebrows at the same time with that one. Those are mostly Nick Khan. He's the money guy. That's what at least what I've gleaned. He is the guy who is pinching the pennies and keeping tabs on things. So this ought to be real interesting.
So that was Friday, and then we get to today. So no news over the weekend other than that, because let's be honest, the king stepping down, you need some time to process. Well, we get to this morning, and around 10-ish a.m., and we have news of Paul Triple H Levesque. He has now been named EVP of Talent Relations, so he is now in charge of managing all talent-related items, and that is something that is, obviously, I think the longtime talent, upper tier main event talent is not thrilled with this. I did leave this out. There was a report Friday, and actually, I was telling you about this when we were at the. I texted it to you, I believe, when I was out for dinner Friday night. But Brock Lesnar apparently walked out of SmackDown when the news of Vince's retirement broke. Not entirely sure why or what motivated it, but he did end up coming back and did get factored into the show somehow. Like, apparently they just kind of worked him in out of the blue. So that must have been fun. But
oh, wow.
It's just like, man, it's like he leaves and it's still a mess. So Triple H is going to be the executive vice president of talent relations, basically taking over the role held by John Laurinaitis. This is probably, from what I was reading on this article, probably well accepted by most of the talent. For as much of a politician as he was, or backstage politician as he was back during the prime of his career, he has proven to be a very, truly the game when it comes to building talent, identifying talent. Did a phenomenal job with NXT, and really, for 6-7 years throughout most of the 2010s, went from a very small, very regional kind of based promotion to making it almost, it was really on its way to becoming its own brand. And you and I often, when, we started this podcast, we would at times wonder when we would do the pay-per-view reviews, whether or not at some point Triple H and Vince were going to butt heads because Triple H's little promotion was outperforming anything Vince was putting up there. So, so the future is looking a little bit brighter, I believe, on the talent side of things, because he is someone who I believe, really has an eye for developing talent and working with them. He has his crew of guys, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg. There are others who, from his era who, probably bring in, I wouldn't be surprised if he brings in guys like The Undertaker, to come in and coach up, some of the folks and that sort of thing. I mean, he's got a big pool of, guys who are now done with their careers, who I think have a lot of knowledge they can, pass on to this generation. And so it'll be really interesting to see, him in this role now and what that means for where they go forward. And then at the same time, today, we also had an announcement made, and this one is I shouldn't say the most interesting, but to me, it's very impactful. Is Triple H, Paul Levesque, once again, was named head of creative. And that is huge because that is what Vince McMahon was doing. So,
wow. So John Laurinaitis and Vince gone, like, it's the ultimate corporate thing right now. Like, we fired 2 guys. We're going to need you to pick up a little slack.
Yeah. So again, I think for a lot of the insider, wrestling sites, this is viewed as an extremely positive thing. The biggest criticism with Vince was just that he, being admittedly by his own tweets, 77-year-old man, did not really understand or have a connection with, kind of the cultural zeitgeist of today, and, found things that some of us don't really find that funny anymore, funny, and decided to, slam them into his shows and that sort of thing. Not saying Vince was completely, done from a creative standpoint, because, clearly there have been events they've put together and put out that have been very, good and very profitable. But when you come to when you talk about consistency and longevity, I believe I go back to what I just said, the 2010s. Go back and watch any of those NXT events, from the genesis of Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. I mean, just all guys who are now main eventers. Those are all the fruits of Triple H and his crew kind of bringing this talent up, and for the ladies as well. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, to name a few. Tremendous impact on the business from really a almost behind the scenes perspective, and now he's in a fairly strong position of power, in the organization now. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he does, given what we've seen him do in NXT. And what are your thoughts, sir?
I just want to know if, so we're recording this on Monday. I'm just wondering, when he stepped into the creative office, whatever boardroom or little side room that they had set up at whatever arena they're at today, I just wonder if he kicked open the double doors just as Motorhead started playing. It's it's time to play the game, and does his entire ring entrance, spits the water, the lights are flashing, and then he just very calmly sits down. Is all right, boys, what are we gonna do tonight? I just want to know if that happened, because quite honestly, this is the reason why no one ever gives me a position of authority, because I totally would have done that.
Because you would do something like this, of course.
Oh yeah, are you kidding? You make me head of creative when I thought I was never ever going to even sniff this thing. I thought it was going to be Vince's head in a jar carrying this company for the next 4,000 years. I'm going to be dust, and it'll never happen. And now he's there. Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. Oh. No, I think it's a great move. I think anything that got Vince away from creative is a good move.
Yeah.
I think that there is a, they say don't kick someone when they're down, but I mean, I kind of feel like it tonight. I'm not going to say that Vince McMahon isn't responsible for any success, because obviously he is. He's been the guy doing this an awfully long time. The WWE would not be what it is today. However, there is also a negative side to that. And there is a case to be made that over the years, there's been a lot of success almost in spite of Vince.
Yeah. Yep.
That he has, by virtue of being the main game around, with the exception of what? 5 years?
Yep.
When WCW was kind of on its uptick and some of the talent was getting drained away because they had the big pockets, and then they were winning the Monday Night Wars for what was like a year and a half, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then like a little bit of the little downslide after that, where it was kind of jockeying back and forth, and then he was right back at the top. By virtue of that, you've got the best talent for the most part, and it took the WCW taking away a lot of his big name toys to get the next level to get that next wave of stars, because as we've seen over how many years now, Goldberg keeps getting trotted out. They keep bringing out Brock Lesnar. Like they keep shoving Roman Reigns down your throat. And now that you have, it was okay when Brock Lesnar was a part-time guy and you would come and go as he pleased because, hey, well, you still got these other guys. Well, now you don't got most of those other guys. And Roman Reigns is now a part-time player. And it's like, what do you got now? You haven't spent any time building these other guys, which is, to me, like, it calls into question just how good Vince is at creating that talent. Or is it because he gets so much talent by virtue of being the big kid on the block that it's almost like you can't help but at least have some success?
Yep.
But we've seen how many people like just kind of flake away, that he could have done something with, but they didn't.
No.
Or how many bad gimmicks have we seen how many bad gimmicks were there before we finally got to the Attitude Era, where he had to finally kind of admit, like, I don't know. And a lot of those wrestlers then took more creative control over their characters, and they were kind of the ones doing some of that creative heavy lifting. And sure, Vince had, had something to do with that, of course. But anything that gets Vince away from creative, to me, is great. And I think Triple H is a great guy to do it. I think, like we like you had so aptly said, NXT was doing wonders compared in terms of like actually good matches, good wrestling, building characters, was doing great. And as we saw with NXT 2.0, as soon as they got Triple H out of the way, when he started having health issues, we got to go in and change everything.
Yep.
It's like the prime directive.
Yep.
Change this gimmick, fire that person, screw with everything.
That's right.
And it's just it's too bad that it had to get to this point. But at the same time, like, what does this mean for wrestling now? Like, man, that whole thing about AEW maybe in the driver's seat could be real interesting now, because you actually have someone who might have most of his marbles left in charge of creative now.
So that's where I was going to go next, and I actually have to do a quick correction here. So sorry, the EVP talent relations announcement with Triple H was Friday. It is the head of creative was today. So I just wanted to be clear about that. The thing I was going to say, I think the biggest, and again, we attribute a lot to Vince because, quite frankly, Vince's name is right up there in the lights for all the success. Yep. So you got to also take the hits when things are not going well. And, the last 5 to 7 years have been a study in, really misidentifying talent and really overlooking very talented individuals because they didn't fit into, either the process or didn't fit into the mold. I remember reading oftentimes, especially from a lot of the Attitude Era, guys like Stone Cold, The Rock, Mick Foley, it was all, and coming even forward in time, like CM Punk and others, saying, you really have to advocate for yourself. And Vince really respects it when you kind of step up to him and really, argue with him and really fight for what, you think is the right idea. And I don't know if something just changed along the way, but it sounds like that really wasn't working for a lot of people, that there were people who were trying to advocate for themselves. They were shown the door. You have, again, probably the biggest travesty to me is someone like Bray Wyatt, who, came up with this gimmick in NXT and had this very unique and very visually unique, a group of the Wyatt family, then reinvents himself a second time, goes on an amazing run, and then gets jobbed out to Goldberg, and then everything's downhill from there. I mean, just it's been I don't even want to call it a comedy of errors. It's just been a sequence of errors of creative mishandling talent in many ways. And if I'm AEW, I might start getting a little concerned now because they were benefiting from the budget cuts. They were benefiting from the fact that creative under Vince's, mind did not see talent or see dollars in some of these guys. And they are now the foundation of AEW. And now some of those guys, and I'm thinking of like the tag team FTR that's over there. I'm thinking of guys, I'm trying to think of a couple like Adam Cole and others who, jump ship to AEW. Now it's not so out of the question for them to jump back because Triple H put those guys into very plum positions in NXT. He saw potential in all of them. They were the stars of NXT for a very long time. And so now I'm just kind of look at that like, I'd be kind of nervous because it's no longer going to be a foregone conclusion that the grass is greener in AEW. The grass might actually start getting greener, starting with Cody Rhodes jumping ship now under the auspices of Triple H. So I'm very interested now to see where this goes. And we talked about this going back many episodes. I mean, we, as we've sporadically kind of woven wrestling into the Week in Geek, I've mentioned this, like if they could just get Vince out of creative and put in someone like Triple H, he has an aptitude for this and he knows how to build something that is compelling. So I'm kind of excited to see where he's going to go.
Oh, totally. And it makes me kind of wonder that whole thing with like Brock Lesnar, because Triple H saw the writing on the wall. I'm sure some of this, like the announcement coming today, is because it was like we're going to do this. We're not going to announce it till Monday. Like we're not going to do this whole thing in one fell swoop. Or maybe it was somewhat of a like negotiations or something. I don't know. But I wonder, like Triple H kind of having in his head, like, all right, I think I'm gonna get creative, and seeing Brock Lesnar walk out, Triple H go, perfect, yes, go ahead and walk out, Brock, and we will make you the biggest heel in the company just for walking away, and it clears me a whole bunch of spots. Like literally walk into the locker room, like, all right, who wants that spot? It's almost like the Dark Knight when it breaks the pool cue. He's like, you're a aggressive growth. It's like, oh my gosh. I don't think, because I think Brock's going to be gone fairly soon here. I think that might show them a few things. And also I think that's probably been a known weakness. Like you're building everything on these two guys that are part-time players. Like, sure, this is going to end well.
Well, and
they
when
won't
Brock
hold you up for money.
Right. And when it was announced that Brock was walking, that he walked out and it seemed like a legit thing because it wasn't too long after that, articles were popping up about, well, they're talking about alternatives for SummerSlam because Brock was going to be in the main event, against Roman Reigns for the 423rd time. Sadly, the alternative that was being thought of was apparently Goldberg. Which left fans, which left fans asking the question, why on earth would you not plug Seth Rollins into that? Seth Rollins against his old Shield buddy, they could come up with a way to make that be compelling, be a good main event. But no, they're looking for the war of monsters. And I just, oh my gosh, I'm just like shaking my head like, you got to be kidding me. But
are we sure that wasn't when Vince was still in charge of create? Like he didn't still have some grasp, and he managed to get that out in the fax machine right before press. No, it's gonna be Goldberg.
Someone,
no!
I don't have the blogger's name on this site.
Quick,
but
somebody shut Vince's email down.
Someone from Cage Side Seats brought up a really good point and said, "Look, WWE is not a car; it's a tank. So it's like you're not going to get immediate change right away." You know what I mean? Like there is a momentum to what's happening right now. And so the only point in that article was just that as positive the news is of, Triple H taking over, it's going to take some time. Like Raw is not going to change overnight. SmackDown is not going to change overnight. And SummerSlam coming up in a month is not going to change overnight. So maybe
actually,
we
is
suffer
SummerSlam at the end of this month?
It's usually mid to end of August, actually.
I thought I saw some commercials for it like on the 30th.
It could be. They may, maybe they bumped it up sooner or something.
It's
but
this Saturday, July 30th.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's not what he used to. He used to be like end of. Maybe they figure they make more money when the college kids aren't going to college at the end of August.
Well, I mean, it's not pay-per-view anymore. Now it's a premium live event.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, no, that's true, because I mean, the only alternative is the thing that I think WCW tried to do at least once with when Vince Russo came in and was like, we're gonna, everything is, different. We're gonna strip all the titles and do all. I mean, that's your only alternative, and that never goes well. No, ever. That never works out. And
someone thought that was a great idea, and then they actually did it. And man, it was good in the sense that it got people like Booker T over and viewed as a world champion and so forth. It was different. But yeah, you don't want to reset the belts. You need to just kind of organically move, nudge things in a direction that's different from where they've been before. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, one of the other pieces of fallout from that then is, so John Laurinaitis on his way out. Well, there's another guy who people may not know, if you're a casual fan. His name is Kevin Dunn. He is part of Vince's team of Yes Men, and apparently is universally
Stooges 2.0.
Yeah, is universally not liked by most of the wrestling internet community because
well, him and John Laurinaitis, because wasn't it Corny, Uncle Corny, who said no one even wants to see John Laurinaitis at the supermarket these days. I was like, wow, I don't even know what that means, but I kind of know what it means.
So, Mr. Dunn may be on his way out as well. Apparently he and Stephanie McMahon do not get along. Stephanie does not like him. And so it seems like, as is the case, comeuppance is due. And so, he will be most likely on his way out. And, if there is longevity, if this isn't a short-term thing that they're doing, putting in Triple H and Stephanie in these interim roles, because they are not calling them interim. They're calling them, this is their roles. So it seems like it's long-term, that I would imagine he's going to install his own kind of group of guys, much like he did in NXT, to, go ahead and kind of push things forward. And so, so it'll be interesting. Be very interesting to see who he brings in.
You know what I want to know? I want to know if there's now like an appointed Turk at in Titan Towers, because I don't know if anyone knows that term, but I don't even know if it was much of a term except for so when Bill Belichick first started in the NFL, and he was like assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant scout or something like that. But one of his jobs was he would have to go, like at training camp, he would have to go around to the players who were getting cut and would be like, hey, the coach wants to see you, bring your playbook. And that was like, you knew it was like dead man walking, like, and the way the term that he used is that he was the Turk, which I guess, goes back to some sort of ancient execution or something. I just wonder who that is. Like, I wonder if Triple H just brought in like Road Dogg just to come around, like to each office.
You didn't know?
Oh, you didn't know? Bring your security card. Come on down. It's like,
bring your bags, bring your gear.
It's like, oh no, do I have to get cut like this in the worst possible way? And then they're like, well, at least it isn't Billy Gunn. I guess there's that positive.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
man,
that would be great. That would be you know what? I hope that somebody is filming all this, because I want like the behind the scenes footage on all this. That would be enough to make me get Peacock again. I would love to see the behind the scenes of just like people getting wholesale like tossed out.
Yep.
Oh, it'd be great. Like they bring back Braun Strowman on a 2-week contract just to act as muscle. Well,
absolutely. And we have one more little news bite to get to with this, and then we'll move on. But one other thing that just occurred to me, and I don't know, like if casual fans are aware of this or not, but one of the things that Tony Khan, not Nick, Tony Khan.
Yes, two separate Khans, and neither to be confused with Khan. I've been waiting weeks to make that joke. Thank you.
You did. You had that all locked in the holster, ready to go. But Tony Khan, head of AEW, one of the things that he has been, credited for and lauded for is the fact that he's had this, and he calls it the, opening the forbidden door, but being very open to doing cross promotion type events with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with Impact Wrestling, with other, he purchased Ring of Honor and is now essentially Ring of Honor is now kind of like a sub brand within AEW and operating that way. And so now I'm wondering, with Triple H being in position and, Stephanie being in her position, it kind of is intriguing to wonder, do you think at some point if they would kind of cross promote, with AEW at some point, because it's good for business, if it draws dollars, I think they might do it.
The only way I could see that happening would be like almost like once every other year, like one pay-per-view or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But even that is like, why would you even do anything to help the because you're going to get that. I'm guessing you'd have to make it a 50-50 split.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just guessing, like neither one is going to settle for less.
Yeah.
You have to make it a 50-50 split. And if it's a huge door, well, you're still helping, you're making money, but you're still helping the competition, because you got to look at it like, I could have made this money on my own. Even if I only made 75%, I get 100% of that 75%. I don't get the 50%. I mean,
okay, Scott Steiner. Jeez, Louis, you're selling he's doing the 33 and a third percent chance.
Mine actually made sense. All right.
It did. It's just the way you were talking, it sounded like that promo.
I was double checking that as I was saying it, like every single word. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, that checks out. All right. I was like, it's like that scene in Apollo 13 where all the guys with the slide rulers. Like, that's what's going on inside my head as I'm saying something like that, even though it's like the most simple math, like third graders could do it. I'm still just like, oh man, I'm going to mess this up.
Good
but
stuff.
I can't see why you would. Like, you're going to try to, maybe you're not out to bury AEW, but you certainly want to stay the top dog. And I mean, WWE is still top dog, even though creatively they might not be as good. They're making more money, and that's how you judge these things. I can't see why they would. I mean, I might be totally wrong, because, like you say, Triple H and Stephanie have a totally different outlook in the business than I do, and than what Vince does. So maybe, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, do you think so?
I think they would be open to it, and I think. It's got to be the right match, though, and I look at the lineup, and the one link I see is Cody Rhodes, having the history, maybe putting, I don't think they do anything like him versus CM Punk or anything like that, but I could see them.
Cody Rhodes versus Jericho.
I could see that. I could see.
How much do you think they would love to do that? If only just to piss Vince off somewhere. Just like, they would have to have Vince. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was going to say they'd have to have Vince in a straitjacket to deal with that, and heavily medicated. And even then, he'd still be at 77 years. The steroids that have saturated his cells would all come out at once, and he'd be like hulking up, like eyes burning. Oh my gosh.
Or I was thinking
they'd have to put him in like that, in that clear plastic cell that they put like Baron Zemo in. That's what they'd have to put him in.
Yes. What was the you could have something like Bryan Danielson coming and facing someone. You could have Regal's, like, they have this great group going now called the Blackpool Combat Club. It's Regal as a figurehead. It's Jon Moxley, formerly Dean Ambrose, Bryan Danielson, Cesaro, who's just joined AEW. And they're just like a group of just brawlers who are just, tough men who just go in and like they're holding like a bunch of gold right now. And I'm thinking, man, if they do something with Cody and one of those guys, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, that's not, it would have to be a main event.
Absolutely.
It would have to be a main event. I don't see that. I'm thinking that, like, in order to really capture that imagination, like, the storylines are really interesting, because both of them are essentially WWE, are both people that had a beef with WWE.
Right.
And with Vince specifically. Cody can go back to the way that, the way that Vince treated his dad. Oh, wait a minute. So no, Dustin is his brother, right?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, the way that he treated his brother, the way he treated him, the way he treated his dad, all of those things. And for him to come back to WWE, Chris Jericho could be like, here's the guy who he did all this to your family and you went crawling back. Oh my gosh, the promos that those two could have.
Oh yeah.
Would be otherworldly.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening. Maybe you're right, because it sounds awesome. I got to admit, it sounds freaking awesome. I want to watch it now. Damn it.
And Triple H, he has respect for Dusty Rhodes. And so I think, it'd be really, I could see him being on board with, kind of Cody's on this path right now where he wants to, he was on Stone Cold's podcast and he points to that old WWE belt with, the old Eagle belt that Austin had before they, kind of went through a few iterations of changing the design. And he said, that's what I want to bring back. He's like, I want to hold that. And that's the belt that I want to hold. And so they have this great story brewing right now where if they can keep the belt on Reigns and build Cody up and have it be Cody versus Reigns, just, these two, second, third generation, guys who are, you essentially have the Samoans versus the Rhodes sort of thing. You could have a really, really compelling, cross promotional match or something, or get Cody the belt and then have the cross promotional match where he's the world champion, fighting Jericho.
But the way you'd have to do that, is you'd have to have that blow off would have to be like WrestleMania, right?
Oh yeah,
would have to.
Yeah.
That's a WrestleMania main event. You have him chase. Finally at WrestleMania, he wins. You have to make it a clean victory. Has to be absolutely clean because you got to slam the door on Roman Reigns. And then, as Cody is celebrating, the friggin' streamers are falling down. Dustin's in the ring with him. The whole family is there. Then all of a sudden, Judas starts playing, and Jericho walks out on stage. And that's where you cut.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then you keep that going for 12 months.
Yep.
Can you freaking imagine? But again, then you'd have to have like back and forth. Damn it. Now I've taught myself into this thing that's never going to happen.
It could. And you heard it here first.
I'm going to seethe about this because just the way that the universe works. If I've learned one thing from my travel mojo, it's not going to happen.
It's going to happen as slowly as possible. Finally, and we'll wrap this up quick because we're way over with this. But the last
we're
item,
going to wrap it up with financials, the real exciting stuff.
I'm not going to get into the actual financials, but the last article from today was apparently WWE is going to be restating past financial results due to certain unrecorded expenses made by ex-CEO Vince McMahon. So apparently there are some things were not done by the book, and so now we're going back and correcting them. Apparently,
oh boy, this is going to be interesting for stockholders. Oh boy, yeah, because we're already at the point with like the 12 million tally that he had. That's already like 3 times more than he paid for WCW and their tape library.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not good. Not good at all.
Not good at all. You don't pay $12 million in hush money if you didn't do nothing. Like Uncle Corny said, if I paid out $12 million, I did whatever they said that I did.
So according to the article again from Cage Side Seats, and they were I think they were referencing the SEC filing, but it said the company has made a preliminary determination that certain payments that McMahon agreed to make during the period from 2006 to 2022, including amounts paid and payable in the future, and that were not recorded in the WWE consolidated financial statements, should have been recorded as expenses in the quarters in which those agreements were made. As of the date hereof, the company has identified unrecorded expenses totaling approximately $14.6 million.
Oh!
All payments underlying the unrecorded expenses were or will be paid by Vince McMahon personally.
So what I'm curious about here is we've obviously had some hanky-panky, and then we've had some bookkeeping hanky-panky. Does this mean that Vince goes to the hokey pokey? Because I know that
don't noki.
I know that rich people don't tend to wind up in the pokey, but this is not looking good.
No. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now close and bring to an end a very Vince McMahon-centric week in geek.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you for then leading me just like a horse to water to the fantasy booking portion of that will never happen, and I will die a frustrated man. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I thought I dropped you there for a minute.
No, I was. So for the listeners, I have a standing desk, and I was lowering it because my lower back is hurting. And I was trying to not have it be a part of the recording, but then I didn't know Uncle Todd was going to say that, and so there was this uncomfortable silence, and then I had to kick up the gain again so I could say something. So sorry
it's all
about
uncomfortable silences here. It's
pull
all
pull the curtain for a little behind the scenes of how the show is made.
The forbidden door, if you will.
Indeed.
Although in our case, it's more like a flimsy piece of plywood on like one hinge.
Oh, who we kidding? It's a cardboard cutout.
It's a flap
from an IKEA box or something like that, you know?
Yep. Oh, not even something classy like that. It's like a Kmart box that's been hanging around out in the rain.
Yeah, it's been rained on. It's damaged. You know, just kind of like flapping out there.
Smells like pee. I mean, you know, everything you'd expect from us.
Well, sir, just remember, if all that fantasy booking comes true, you know where it came from.
Yep. We know that Triple H is listening. Actually, who are we kidding? It's Road Dogg who's listening.
It's like, Trips, I got a great idea.
Yeah. Yep. Where'd you get this from? Just thought of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. That's you know, and that's going to lead to my SummerSlam match 2 years from now when I go against Road Dogg in a "you stole my angle" match. The stipulation will be it's going to be a Billy Gunn on a pole match. That's what I'm rooting for.
Oh gosh.
Like when they had Buff Bagwell's mom on Judy Bagwell on a pole,
and it will only be contested under the fine refereeing of one Mick Foley.
Yes, of course. I mean, unless if I can't get Dangerous Danny Davis for the pride of Dover, New Hampshire, referee the match, Mick Foley, baby, all the way. That's right, all the way.
Absolutely.
Of course, I don't think Mick can actually get down to make the count, so he'll probably just stomp 3 times and call it good.
Yes, that's true.
And that's not a dig. That man doesn't. That man should not have to get down, you know, and do that if he doesn't want to. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we did go on ourselves a little bit of a road trip now, didn't we, sir?
We did. We broke out of our normal routines, our normal kind of patterns, if you will, and
out of our nursing homes.
They let us
away
out.
From our no meds. Oh wait, you had plenty of meds actually.
Well, yeah, I did.
Your heart thing.
Lost a couple of them too.
I know someone in the streets of Denver picked up a baggie with some pills in it.
Like,
thinking, "Woo, my lucky day!" They're like, no, your cholesterol is just going to be real good right now. That's all.
Yeah, your cholesterol is going to be artificially reduced down, and let's see, and your heart will be slowed. So
50 BP off there.
Yeah,
how do you like that? I don't know if I like this,
man.
So we did. We flew out to Colorado to go and witness what is one of my now favorite concert experiences of all time. One of my favorite, actually my favorite band of all time, Tower of Power, in their first ever Red Rocks concert. They were sharing the bill. I mean, let's face it, they were opening, but it's still kind of weird for me for Tower of Power to be opening for anybody. But they were opening for Lettuce, which is a sensational funk band. And they were both backed by the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, which put this so far over the top. It was ridiculous. So we'll get to that. Let's kind of go in numerical order here. You kind of have day 1, 2, and 3. I have to add in a day 0 because I had a side quest before this. Where
a side quest, or are we a Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing going on here? What's
kind of. I flew out a few days earlier to go visit my mom because I was heading west anyways. I'm like, all right, I'll do that, and then I'll just drive from Arizona to Denver, Colorado.
Yes,
thought it'd be a great road trip. I'm getting too old for this stuff. That's why I was Danny Glovering that. Yeah. Oh man. So the real touchy one was the second day of driving, and I had to go through the Vale Pass.
Oh dear.
Now, I don't know if our listeners are aware of this. I am not a fan of heights. Not a fan whatsoever. The Vale Pass takes you up to an elevation of 10,662 feet.
Oh dear.
on roads that are like just right on the side of the mountain, and like a 6 degree, upgrade, 6 degree downgrade. And you're just like zooming along on these roads, and it's insane. And I was white knuckling like I've never white knuckled before, driving around in canyons that felt like my brain was getting an optical illusion, because I'm like, there's no way that could be that high. Yes, there is. So yeah, I dealt with all of that before Tim even arrived within the state. So I was already rattled, shall we say. But a good day of hanging out with a friend and get some food and some sleep. That was good. Unfortunately, the friend of mine who was supposed to join us, and who I would have been great because she was supposed to go to the concert with us and everything, got COVID beforehand. So kind of got put on like IR, I guess you could say. So that sucked.
Yeah.
But then the man they call Tim flew into town on Tuesday
with Lemmy playing in the background as I entered.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what would your entrance music of choice be if you were so inclined?
Oh wow! So if I were to choose from like the because I don't know, like I always like the Attitude Era music.
I'm thinking the Undertaker, because I mean, if only because we walk real slow now.
Well, that's fair. You know what? I don't know if you remember. I'll have to send you a link or something, but Triple H, when he was kind of on his rise, to his first world championship, he had this kind of funky music. And I can't think of the name of it. It was kind of the precursor to what became like, Lemmy's version of the game, but it was kind of like that. It would have this sort of like video game feel to it. It said like start game, and it would, kind of start off, and it was very, it still had that kind of hard that would be the entrance music, but I guess I'll have to send you a link to it.
All right. I'll see if I can put that
Lemmy
in the show
stuff
notes.
is good too. I mean, quite honestly, between the game or as Lemmy would say, evolution. Good old Lemmy. Evolution. Yep. But yes, so I think that'd be my entrance. But I came very early though. Oh
my gosh, that was
for the
unreal.
Listeners, I last Monday evening, I actually was a week ago. I was on my way to getting to bed early, and got up at 1:45 in the morning to catch a 2:45 taxi to O'Hare, and when I arrived, I was shocked to find that apparently at 3 a.m. security isn't open yet. So I made all this effort to get there early, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of like the Wild West, the tumbleweeds blowing by because there's no one there. But
I have expected you to say like there's a security guard with like his cap down, feet up,
a little Barney Fife action going on.
Yeah, he has the gun, but the bullets are in a pocket.
Oh my gosh! But I mean, there were some people there who were also catching an early flight, and so I was early in line for waiting for security to open, so that once they did open, I got through fairly quickly, and it was all good.
Yeah, the unfortunate part was the security guy hadn't had a chance to warm his hands up, so Tim was like,
Good Lord.
You rub them together or something?
Oh my gosh.
Actually went to the duty-free shop and picked up some lotion, brought it back to him like, you really need to use this.
Gosh. Oh, so I boarded I think it was like a 5:15 flight. Flying first class, baby, first class. So
now, see, this is where I have a problem because Tim has been rubbing this in my face the whole time that he flew first class to and from Colorado. The plane I was on didn't even have first class. You were either a passenger or you were a pilot, or you were part of the crew. Like those are the only two options. There's no first class.
Well, and
it's like when they said to me, "Get on," like, "Oh, where's first class?" Dude, you're lucky you've got a seat and it's not a milk crate with a piece of string.
Like,
go sit down. It's like
get on
Greyhound in the sky. That's all it was.
Well, and for context, so Uncle Todd, being a generous man as he is, was all of this was kind of built around the fact of the concert was the main event. And so my birthday gift, because my birthday was this past Friday, was the ticket to go to the concert. So I was viewing this as this is a kind of, relaxation sort of trip, go hang out with a friend, enjoy, take in some good music. And so I wanted to travel in style. I didn't want to deal with group numbers that were higher than one, and so I just decided,
want to sit with the unwashed masses, and he also got like a shiatsu massage while he was
nice,
in air,
as it should be.
And you're like, you need to go talk to that security guy. You got real soft hands there, Sven. Thank you.
Oh my gosh! So
a little lower, if you wouldn't mind. There we go.
So got a.
Make sure you get next to the big toe. That's where I really get jammed up. Thank you. That unlocks my chakra.
Gosh. All right. So had a little bit of a very slight delay leaving. We were kind of on the tarmac for a little bit longer than we should have been, but we got in the air.
Oh my goodness. Didn't you pipe up from first class, remove your monocle, and say, "Excuse me, I have places to be.
Love me."
Shop if we could, please.
Indeed.
I don't care if you have to kick some of these coach people off. But,
is the plane way down? Eject them.
Yes. I would say start with the first ones in the back.
It was a very good flight, very, very, very quick. I mean, it was 2.5 hours, but it was a very fast 2.5 hours. So,
well, of course, when you're flying first class, you got all the amenities available to you.
That's right. I was doing some reading. I was knocking out a little bit of work. Land in Denver, got my Uber, went down to downtown Denver. My company has an office down there, so I spent what's kind of funny is I got into the office around the same time I usually get into the office when I go into downtown Chicago. So there was something a little bit eerily, consistent about what I was doing here. It's like I'm walking into the completely foreign place I've never been to before, and I'm getting there before 3/4 of the office is even there.
See, what I love is you're saying like, oh, this is a time for relaxation. And even as you're relaxing, you're more diligent at work than I am, because I literally left like Wednesday and I'm like, ain't nobody hearing from me at all. My family's like, are you gonna?
Yeah, that's what the inbox is saying, right? That's what Outlook is saying right now. Out of the office.
Even my family's like, are we going to hear from you? I'm like, nope. They're like, good. That'd be perfect, actually. If we.
Yeah. So I spent most of about 3/4 of the day at the office. About probably around 3:30, I came down, and Uncle Todd was zen-like reading at a local Starbucks, enjoying a beverage and caffeine beverage, and doing some reading. And so the idiots unite. We were together. Apparently, the universe did not split apart when we began to conversate and joke. And so off we went to the Airbnb.
Yes, the Airbnb that Tim had reserved.
Indeed.
Yes. How about that Airbnb, Tim?
Well, folks, let's just put it this way. There were a couple elements to this whole thing. So we arrive.
Oh, you know stuff. You know the BS is getting deeper as Tim starts talking about the elements involved.
I am not going to. There's no BS. I'm going to lay it out transparently for the people. All right. We get there, and there's a gate we're supposed to enter through that will take us to this guest house. Now, when I first booked this Airbnb, I unfortunately presumed that this guest house was like, this was a kind of country property, and there was a guest house, and you just kind of had, like a trail you walked to get there, because the picture seemed to indicate that it was like a cabin. Except that when we opened the gate, we found ourselves in what can only be described as a maze-like path that was very reminiscent from the Saw movies.
Yes, it was essentially a killing chute. Is what it was. Yes, it's like a slaughterhouse. But I want to point out, first of all, you're like, oh, this property's out in the in the country. Not in the country, like in the middle, smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, like any generic suburban neighborhood. And the entire time I'm pulling up, because I've got the rental car still. I pull up, Tim is confused and disoriented, like, really?
Yep.
Really? And then we open the chute, and he's like, open the gate to go into the path. And I'm literally, we both kind of look at it, and I'm like, you first.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to get it, it's you.
Well, and then as we're walking down this pathway, right, it's very reminiscent of the trench run from Star Wars. So I got Uncle Todd behind me, who's like, stay on target. Which was probably the one time we're actually saying, loosen up. Well, yeah, it actually made sense.
Yeah, true.
Because he was just harassing me with it. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and so we turned a corner and saw what looked like to be a very nice utility shed. And
kind of expected it to like widen up. Nope. It's going to stay the exact same.
And so that was our guest house, was a completely renovated, rehabilitated, basically what looked to be some sort of outdoor shed kind of thing, and it actually made for a fine living arrangement, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was all of 4 feet behind the main house. Like,
that was the other thing that was very jarring.
Reach over the fence, and we could have touched the house.
Yes, yeah, that was the other jarring thing. Was, wow, this is really close to their house. So,
and the best part was looking out the side window from the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
You could view the backyard, which we were not allowed to go into. Yes. I was like, oh, look, green. There's grass. There's a tree. You go out in front of ours. It's just this wood privacy fence. And then they gave us like a 4x4 area with some wicker furniture from 1962.
Which Uncle Todd dubbed the veranda.
Spray painted. Yes, that was our veranda. It was like this little square of space that like the sunshine kind of angled into, and that was about it. And I was like, oh, well, this is nice for a shed.
All right,
that
Jackson
shed I've stayed in this year.
Hold on. Jackson just came downstairs. He's limping. Was this leg day at the gym?
Yeah.
Oh, he did leg day at the gym. It's a little ginger as he walks down the stairs.
You never skip leg day.
No. He said every day should be leg day.
Well, that's the nasty secret that you find out after you've been going to the gym for a while.
Yeah.
Is that like everything kind of is leg day eventually, because you got to use your legs anyways, and everything is core. Everything is a core exercise at some level.
Yes.
And I found that out, I cried. But yes, the shed turned out very nice. It was very clean, very neat, and all that. So it was a good shed, but it was still a shed.
It still was. And there was a period of about probably 60 minutes of me just overcoming the shock of what I had somehow agreed to live in for 2 days.
And me giggling because I ain't paying a red cent for it. So I'm like, whatever. I'm staying here for free, and I don't even get a bed. I get like a fold out couch. So I'm damn sure going to make some jokes about this.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. We had some good laughs about this, and we were, I think the beauty. I need to say this for a second though. There is the beauty of our friendship is we hadn't seen each other in a couple of years, and once we got together, it was like we never missed a beat. You know what I mean? It was like right back to the ripping on each other and joking this and joking that, and yeah, that shed just provided a whole year's worth of material to you. So good Lord.
Oh, it was great.
Oh,
it was
my
great.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So from the shed, I did get some recommendations from colleagues, and we decided to go into Golden to have dinner at an Indian restaurant called Sherpa House.
which was fantastic. That was a great recommendation. And
was
you know, the
so
food,
good.
the ambiance was all great. Like this downtown area for Golden was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like literally like spitting distance from there to the Coors Brewery. Like when we were driving back from Golden, we actually like went right past the Coors Brewery, and I'm like, I don't think this is actually a road. I think this is just an access.
It's like a utility path through the.
Where are we going? I think Siri is has us on the serial killer setting or something.
Yes.
This is not good.
Yes.
Not good whatsoever.
Yeah.
But no, that was great, and that is where the man they called Tim proceeded to eat all the carbs.
I was wondering if that was going to come up or not.
There was none left for anyone else after this. He ate all the carbs. After being on a diet of like no carbs, he just decided, screw it. Bring them all. Bring them all.
You can't have chicken tiki marsala without having the rice to slather the sauce over.
You also had this. What was it? The
naan?
Was the thing that you had? Well, of course, you had the naan. Yeah, I mean, that was at that point. I was like, well, screw it. You might as well.
Well,
there was that other thing.
And here's the thing, folks, ladies and gentlemen. The naan was a choice. The naan was not free. The naan was a choice I made.
No, that was a choice that you made. But there was also that appetizer that you got. What was that thing?
The oh gosh, what
started
the heck?
with an S. I can't remember what it was. It was a vegetable. I want to say samosa, but it's not a samosa.
It is samosa. You're absolutely right.
It is?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
See, I'm not an Indian food connoisseur, so just to actually get that right was amazing.
Got 2 samosas, which were phenomenal. I mean, the food was just so flavorful, so good.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I was in heaven. Carb heaven.
I know you were in heaven. You were about ready to take your shirt off and rub that naan all over you. Like, it's so good to have carbs. I was like, Tim, please. There's people here. My God. Except the bartender who's just like, whatever. I don't care.
Do you remember the bourbon we tried there? Because I have the picture. I need to zoom in a little bit. It was like something like, wasn't it like 10 Mountain or something like that?
Yes. 10th Mountain, I think.
10th Mountain.
I was gonna say there's so much bourbon that was consumed that night.
Oh, we're getting to
I'll
the
be
good
lucky
part.
if I get 50% of this right. Yeah, so that was phenomenal, and then proceeded to walk a little bit around Golden, which I would recommend for anybody.
Rye whiskey.
Yes, it was good. It wasn't like knock your socks off good though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. It was smooth. It was a good.
It was not worth it. It was not worth a second round on that though. That was good enough. One was sufficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, then a little stroll around. Then we headed back to the shed to plan our next maneuver.
And if I hadn't already made enough choices that were probably not the greatest, I think I redeemed myself that evening by saying, "Hey, there's a place called the Whiskey Bar," and Uncle Todd and the man they called Tim. Uncle Todd introduced me to whiskey, bourbon. When I started this diet, I had to stop having, beer, and I was looking for another beverage
because you weren't having carbs.
Right, exactly.
Which you then just trashed that night.
But you and I have not actually been together and been able to go out and sample, bourbon together.
Don't blame this on me, sir. All right.
Don't blame it.
There was plenty of options that you could have gone carb free. All right. And you decided, nope, I'm having all the carbs. You know what? He turned into friggin' Ron Swanson. He's
Uncle
like,
Todd
I want you to bring me
denial right now.
I want you to bring me all the naan and carbs that you have. No, I don't think you understand me. I want you to bring me all the naan and all the carbs that you have. And then he proceeded to eat them all. It was a remarkable thing. I just don't want you to blame it on me.
I'm not blaming it on you. I'm simply pointing out.
Yes, you are. You're like, oh, we hadn't seen each other, so therefore I had to eat all the carbs. Like, how does those two things go together?
No. What I said was we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we hadn't, since I started partaking in bourbon, we haven't been together to go out and sample bourbon together. I wasn't talking about the Indian food. I was talking about the fact we went to the whiskey bar and we're able to sample some fine beverages with the guidance of our Sherpa Dave.
Yeah, which the original plan for us was to go to a couple of distilleries.
Yes.
And we had looked at that and then realized by the time we got Dunn dinner and all that stuff.
They were closed.
And the fact that it was a Tuesday night, there was a ton of these that were just closed, which go figure on a Tuesday night. The place, nightlife ain't exactly hopping.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, the man they call Tim totally redeemed it. Found Whiskey Bar in downtown Denver, and and Dave, we walked in. It's like it looks like a dive bar, but it is one of those places that is like it's been curated to look like a dive bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't look like that on accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we pretty much basically drank Dave's recommendations the entire time we were there.
He took us on a journey, introduced us to a few different drinks. Let me pull up my pictures here.
I remember the first one for you was Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is something that I kind of recommended before.
That was phenomenal.
Cool. I was excited you got a chance to try that because, oh my gosh, that is one of my favorites.
Yep. No, that was phenomenal. And then I think the next one was Restoration.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was good.
Restoration Rye. I didn't take a picture of every bottle though, so I don't have the full because I think we had 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, something like that. And people are probably like, oh, only 4 or 5. Like these were not wimpy pours. These were they might not have been ventis, but they were definitely grande pours.
It's a double.
Dave wasn't skimping.
No, he was not. He embraced. It was funny when we first walked in. I kind of said, "So, what do you have for bourbons?" And he was just it was kind of a dumb question I asked him, and he's like, "Well, what do you guys typically drink?" And so we were kind of filling him in on our story a little bit, and just that we enjoy sampling and. Or we like to partake, and so we like to also partake of some things that are a bit off the beaten path or things that are not the norm. And so he took us on a journey. He certainly did.
Yeah. Well, the first one you had was the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is a barrel strength, single barrel strength, 117-ish proof.
Yep.
And I got Smoke Wagon bourbon.
Skin that smoke wagon and go to work, boy.
And oh my gosh, I believe it was the Smoke Wagon Uncut.
Yeah.
Which I think is 115 or something like that proof.
Yeah.
And healthy pours of both of those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of worked our way down. We did the Restoration Rye.
Yep.
There was something else that we did after that.
Yeah.
And then we finished with the barrel.
Yes. Yeah. That I have a picture of that. That was really interesting because as he explained to, I think 3 or 4 times to us, because by then I think he had a couple shots himself.
Yeah, that's great. The bartender was drinking with us. So it was like, oh yeah, we are in our environment right here. Like this is the place to be.
It was like Uncle Todd and I, and there was 2 other guys there, which we'll get into in a moment. And that was it. And it was a very quiet evening at this place. The All-Star game was on, so there was no game. I mean, and I think the place was only a block or 2 away from Coors Field. So we were really close to Coors Field. But, of course, nothing was going on because, the All-Star game was elsewhere. It was, I actually really enjoyed it. I'm at an age where I'm not big into the whole loud craziness sort of things. So it was actually quite nice to have the place to ourselves and to have someone, who was actually engaged in the quality of the bourbon and whiskey. And, he just had this encyclopedic knowledge of it. And, you had Uncle Todd waxing poetic about the bourbons, about the music, got into a couple of debates. It was a crazy evening. It was, well, not crazy, but it was
well, as crazy as it gets for about 2 guys in mid-40s on a Tuesday night. Yes,
indeed,
that qualifies.
Yes,
and the barrel, the gimmick with that is the fact that it's not their bourbon. It is. They take that bourbon and it's the barrels that they finish it in.
Yes.
And I think one was a rum barrel, one was a sherry barrel, and then there was another
the other
one
was a port, right?
Yeah. And then they blend those and you wind up with these different varieties. And the one that we had was 122 proof,
which I think broke me.
Which is one hell of a way to finish an evening. At least for the man they call Tim, because then the 2 guys that were hanging out with us, there was Reed, and then there was another gentleman who we'll refer to as Mumbles,
yes.
who Reed decided that he was going to buy a round for the house, which is, I mean, not that much because there was only 5 of us in the bar, including the bartender.
Yeah.
So, he and the man they called Tim gracefully bowed out, which Dave was more than happy to take his shot. And I, of course, was like, well, it'd be rude if I didn't have it,
Yes.
So, and then a couple snorts of Jack Daniels
Mhm.
and then Old Forester 86 on top of everything that we'd had before that.
Yep.
With the pours still just as like deep. I'm like,
Liberal.
oh my gosh.
Liberal.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yep.
And all of this after like we had taken an Uber ride from the shed into downtown Denver.
Oh, you
in the
forgot
back
to talk about that.
in the back of a Prius with a guy who was a frustrated NASCAR driver.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
he had this Prius like humming down these highways. I mean, oh my gosh, we weren't really even talking that much because I'm like, I don't want to distract this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're going to go careening off the side of the highway and ain't nobody ever going to find us.
We were waiting for panels to start flying off of the Prius because he was, clearly pushing it beyond the structural integrity limits of the vehicle. So
yeah, so that was. I mean, after we got to the place, I was like, I need a drink now. I wanted a drink before. I kind of need one now. Like I have a medicinal need at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a great time, and our Uber ride back much more relaxed. After all that bourbon, the driver got about a 20-minute free episode of Free Range Idiocy on our way back to the shed.
Indeed, yeah,
and I think he actually enjoyed it.
I think he did too. I heard him laugh. So there's that.
Okay, well that's all I need.
A few times.
Yeah, and then the rest of the evening was interesting. We got to reset the days without incident.
Well, we didn't. Before we get to that, we didn't talk about the various debates you held. I mean, you were holding court, sir. I was sitting there in awe of your prowess when it came to the music, when it came to the drink, when it came to matters of Frank Sinatra.
It was. Oh my gosh, Frank Sinatra. Oh, again with the Frank Sinatra. Oh my gosh. But no, it was. You get a little bourbon in you, and
Jack Daniels, and it was like we were off on a 30-minute, rant of Frank and all things Frank.
Oh yeah, and it was great because Dave, the bartender, was very knowledgeable about music, about bourbon, about all this stuff. So we were going back and forth, good naturedly ribbing each other, and then the other guys at the bar, and Mumbles with the music up, he's talking to me, and he had obviously been there a lot longer than we had.
Yes.
And so he's talking to me and I'm catching maybe 50% of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, yeah. And the whole time thinking like, I'm hoping, I really hope I haven't just agreed to like pull a bank job in 30 minutes. Like I got no idea what the hell we're talking about.
Danny Ocean, and he's saying, "Are you in or you're out?" And he's like,
exactly.
Oh, he's in. Great.
Yeah. No idea. But also like this dude has this, like his eyes are just kind of getting wider over the course of the night. And I'm like, let's just get out of here without making Mumbles angry and getting into a fight. Because quite honestly, we don't stand a chance. Because Mumbles looks like he might have just gotten out of lockup like an hour ago, and this was like where he got dropped.
I just love the fact that every time you tried to like talk about something or make a point, you got 3 words in, and he was already talking over you.
Which made me feel bad because then I'm like, so this is what it's like to be Tim on the podcast. It's like, damn it, I owe him so many apologies. But yeah, unbeknownst to me, as we're sitting there and we're wrapping up the night of this vigorous discussion and laughter and bourbon, Tim is getting his Fitbit signals that all of a sudden the old ticker is starting to race, so that's great.
I blame it on the 122 proof barrel is what I blame it on.
It might have been.
It broke me.
But yeah, so then we had to zip back in the Uber. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, great, we're gonna have to get the man they call Tim to the hospital in Denver, and we're both drunk. This is gonna be fan-friggin-tastic. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh man.
So yeah, but that all's well that ends well. After I'm going to say I'm browbeating him into calling his doctor.
Uncle Todd was very
Essentially,
encouraged.
I saved his life.
You were
I saved the
encouraging-
man they call Tim's life, ladies and
Good
gentlemen.
Lord.
I saved a man's life that night.
I
did not perform surgery, but I saved a man's life.
You learned from my lessons the following morning, because I had to teach Uncle Todd about how to frame the narrative, and he did beautifully.
Yes, thank you.
You did encourage me to chat with the doctor on call. We did, and
it wasn't encouraging. I was essentially yelling at you. I'm surprised we didn't get like the owners of the Airbnb.
I was trying to
explain
explain to him the process under which I've been through many times before. This was not anything I hadn't already dealt with, and I had the medication with me that I needed to take. And so once I took, once the doctor said it was okay to take the med, I took the med, and within about 30 minutes, I was back down to normal again and just had a good night's sleep. So all was good.
Yes.
Although I was debating about telling you that I was back to normal when it happened, except for the fact that Uncle Todd had finally drifted off to sleep, and I didn't think that was the time to wake him up.
I was sleeping like a rock.
Oh my gosh.
Approximately 30 seconds after I laid down, between like 18 pounds of Indian food and then like a bottle and a half of bourbon sloshing around in my gut. My body was like, we go sleepy now.
Yes.
Like, yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So there endeth day one.
Oh my goodness.
That was over 24 hours of you being awake, sir. And I applaud you for that.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So I was up for over 24. Boom.
That was great. The next morning, woke up. And surprisingly, neither one of us like that much the worse for wear, which is incredibly surprising.
Absolutely.
I credit all of the Indian food for like absorbing all of that in our guts.
Yes.
That's what I'm going with.
That's the story.
And then what? That was the first of two visits to Snooze.
Snooze AM. The brand that seems to exist everywhere in Denver and the surrounding area.
Oh, God bless them for that too.
Including the airport.
So good. Yes. That was kind of spooky what we got there. And I'm like, oh, they're following us. But yeah, so day of Red Rocks, get up a little on the later side.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go back into Denver for brunch, which at this point, because we were hurtling towards noon.
Oh my gosh.
By the time we got ourselves in gear.
I think by the time we were done, it was like 1:30 or 2. I mean, it was like day's like 3/4 over at this point.
Well, it didn't hurt that I got like 3 breakfast tacos plus a pancake.
Oh my God!
No, that
right.
was the other time.
That was day 3. That was day 3.
Yeah, like 3 breakfast tacos and like coffee and just we gorged ourselves. And
I had the 30-minute latte. I had my omelet, and then I had a side of bacon.
Oh yeah, it's an artisanal latte that apparently like you have to go out and actually like juice the almonds for the almond milk. You have to pick the beans, roast them, then you are able to grind them into espresso to make a latte.
Indeed.
And then Tim says, "Oh, I need sunscreen for the concert tonight."
Before we get there, wait a minute. So I finished my breakfast and I'm sitting here, and I swear someone from the staff has slid a 4th taco onto your plate because you're still eating your tacos.
Because I was just talking too much. That's the problem.
And I'm like, this is like the never-ending plate of tacos because I thought you ate all 3 of them already.
Oh, dude, you just like said the magic. Never-ending plate of tacos is like, that's a dream come true for me, dude. Come on now, tell me. You know what? I don't fully trust anyone who would not take a never-ending plate of tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I could trust that person.
Gotta have
for
it.
anything.
Gotta have it.
You know.
But yes, we were on a quest for sunscreen.
Which so both of us were a little foolish on this one, because I said, well, it's not that far. Let's walk. And Tim says, okay. And then we proceeded to walk in the hellish 90+ degree temperatures.
It was like 97 out or something. It was crazy hot.
Just sweating, having random people like doing karate on street corners and yelling and other things.
Sure,
and
we weren't suffering from the heat stroke.
Somebody was, and I mean, it was 50-50, really. So we did that. The sunscreen is funny only because of what happens later in the day, because then we finally get all this taken care of, get back to the rental car, drive back to the shed, and Tim's doing something. He's trying to figure out Wi-Fi or something like this, and I'm just like, I'm gonna lay down on the couch for a minute. I'm just laying there. And I was just about to doze off a couple times, and then Tim would say something to me. I'm like, yeah.
I had no idea. Oh no.
And finally I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm taking a nap. I was like, dude, I'm laying down for a nap. And you kind of scoffed at me.
I did.
A nap. Weak-willed person. Who would ever need a nap? Approximately 8 minutes later, you could hear from the bedroom. Tim absolutely out cold, like he'd been frozen cryogenically. Both of us just passed out.
Food coma.
Wake up, and I was like, all right, just about time to drive to Red Rocks, ain't it?
And what was the comment I made to you that was true for both of us, which is there, and this is meant to be a slight against our kids, but it's just in general, like trying to mobilize a family quickly to get out the door is a very challenging thing. And we set our alarm for, like, we wanted to leave at 4:30. I think we set it for like 4:15, but to our credit, we were out the door, Johnny on the spot at 4:30 in the car, ready to go.
Yep.
For the tsunami
is remarkable. Yeah. So then we drive up, and I looked at the weather. It's supposed to be a little rain. We get up to Red Rocks. We go up to one of the parking lots. I think we missed the one that we were actually going to go to, so we ended up going to like the upper north lot or something like that.
Well, we took a gamble. I had us take a gamble because the upper north is supposed to fill. Like, based on what I found online, the recommendation was don't go there because it fills up quickly. Well, we were there early enough. I figure, why don't we try it? If it doesn't work, we can go to the upper south lot, and then it's the whole idea is that we were trying to minimize the amount of walking we had to do to the venue, which those two parking lots are two of the closest. So
minimize the walking, but also maximize our chances of getting out without being stuck in traffic for like an hour.
Exactly.
Because we had no idea. Neither one of us had ever been there.
Yeah.
So we get there, we park.
Plenty of parking.
Oh yeah, we park like right near like the exit. So we're a walk away from the venue, but we're like, get in the car and you're right there to pull out.
Yeah.
So we pull in, we get there, and just as we start to pull in, so there's these people who are working. They looked like probably college students, maybe high school students. I don't know. They were wearing ponchos and they had like umbrellas, and they're like directing us in because it started to sort of trickle a little bit of rain.
Mm-hmm.
We get parked. The skies freaking opened.
Oh my gosh.
Pouring down, and we're just sitting in the car like, alrighty, how's this going to work with the 7:30 show?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And much credit to the Weather Channel, man. They got that sucker right. Like, it stopped, tailed off, got out. I was like, all right. Within about 20-30 minutes, it was back to being hot, and all the waters dried right up. I'm like, wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
And then we got to make our entrance into Red Rocks, which, man, like I said before, if you have a chance, it's just an entire experience. Just walking up, of course, the stairs to get there, and then just kind of like going through the gate and everything. Oh man, it's just overall, it's an amazing experience.
You missed a very, very key story though before we walked in.
I did? What did I miss?
Because you're talking about when we actually entered in and we went to get dinner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just before that, we had to wait in line for a period of time, and Uncle Todd and I were hungry. We talked to this very nice lady who's a volunteer.
Yes, friends of Red Rocks, I believe.
Friends of Red Rocks, and we weren't quite sure like where the food was and what to do, and she was giving us all this advice, some of which didn't actually pan out for us. But at the end of it, she then poses a very interesting statement to us.
Ah, yes.
You know where I'm going?
Uh-huh. Yep. Go ahead.
She says, "Well, this is nice, father and son." To which Uncle Todd and I look at each other, and she kind of knew at that point that something was amiss, and she's like, brothers? And I said, that was a little closer to the mark. I said, good friends. And we had a good laugh. And then we walked away, and you and I looked at each other, and we got this exact same response for both our wives when we texted them the story. So which one did you guys decide was the father?
Well, Dad, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. So that was hysterical. That was hysterical. Great. And everyone I've told that story to since I gotten back, I get the same reaction, just giddy laughter, because it is just so funny. So funny to think about. Oh my gosh.
Gates open.
Yes.
We go right in because I was Johnny on the spot buying the ticket, so I had reserved seats. So no need to like go down and try and claim your area. So we beat feet right for Smash Burger.
Here's the mistake I made, but go ahead.
We haven't had nearly enough meat yet. I mean, come on.
No.
So went to Smash Burger. Once again, Tim is just like, give me all the carbs. All the carbs. Yes, I want the bun. Yeah, give me a bag of chips. Do you have like wheat germ or something you can sprinkle on there for some more carbs? Anything like that? I need more. I need more carbs.
Oh man.
And I'm still in awe of the fact that you just got a double cheeseburger, not a double bacon cheeseburger as I did.
I should have got a double.
Freaking fun. Oh yeah, because he just wanted 4 patties, no bun or anything. I'm like, yeah, because that's not going to throw your like digestive tract into
it isn't. That is exactly mode. How my diet is designed. So
all right, whatever.
Burning off cheese and burger and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah. So we did that. Hit the visitor's center, which is kind of a cool museum.
Yeah,
and
that
all
was
that
cool.
stuff.
That was cool.
Rushed right through that because it was getting close to showtime by this time. So go back up, and one of the things that the very nice volunteer lady had told us is there's a merch table for the bands at the top of the amphitheater, and then there is a merch table for the bands at the bottom, down towards the front.
Wow.
Now, she neglected to say which side it was on, so our seats are on the left side. I think the other merch table was on the bottom right side because there were photos of it. However, on my advice, we were walking past it, and Tim very rightfully says, "Hey, should we get stuff now?" I'm like, "No. We'll hit the one at the bottom. It's right where down towards where our seats are."
Oh God!
So we go down like all these rows, like 183 rows or whatever, however many rows there are to Red Rocks. We go all the way down because I managed to score 5th row seats.
Which kudos to you, sir. Kudos.
Thank you. However, that's not what Tim was saying when we got all the way to the bottom, and ain't no merch stand down at the bottom.
Oh God!
There's just bathrooms and a couple drink stands, and he kind of looks at me, and I'm like, "Well, I guess we ought to go back up and get the merch first before the show starts." So we got to climb all 183 rows back up.
Oh my God!
All the way up the stairs. The one positive was the fact that Tim was so out of breath that he couldn't say "I told you so." So that was it. And I'm doing pretty well. Like the first third, I was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad. I've been doing plenty of cardio, working out, and all that." Second, third, I'm like, "All right, it is pretty far." By the last bit, I'm like, "Oh God, I'm dying." What's happening? So hit the merch table.
Man.
Luckily, there was a bit of a line, so I could catch my breath, so I could actually tell the people behind the main merch table the stuff that I wanted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been just pointing, going.
You and I both, man.
You came from the front, did you?
Yeah.
So
good Lord.
Oh,
you okay over there? Jeez.
I gave myself asthma just from doing that. That's great. I now have emphysema from that joke. I hope you all enjoy it. So get the merch, head back down to the seats, and then proceeded to just go through one of the best shows I've ever been to. The only other time I've ever had better seats to see Tower of Power was a couple of years ago. I pre-COVID got a chance to go down to Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn, New York. Nice. And was literally first row, like arms up on the stage right in front of the horn section.
Wow.
that's the only other time I've had better seats than this. And even that, this was even more amazing. Just because of the venue, because Red Rocks, a couple of people have asked me like what it's like. I'm like, it's like walking into a cathedral, but with a better sound system and beer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just awe-inspiring.
And you can see the night sky. It's just, gorgeous.
I mean, it's amazing in every respect.
And for me,
sound quality and mix was like on point.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, for me, that had to have been the closest I think I've ever really been to the actual, to the stage for any sort of musical act that I've seen. Because I'm not typically one that does a lot of concerts, but when I do go, I typically, settle for, seats that are not crazy, in terms of expense or.
Because he's buying for the fam then, not just himself. He can't go first class. He's like, oh, if it's just me.
That's what it is. You got to have the first class. So
I want to make sure I get the hot towel. I want all the stuff.
That's right. And,
where's my slippers?
And so Uncle Todd gave a fine, fantastic birthday gift of a fifth row seat, front and center, right there, watching the band. I do have to ask, were you a little perturbed at all by the fact that we got there and we should have had about 4 seats worth of space and we had maybe 1.5 because some people decided to just kind of jump in and that's like where we were?
Well, that's the way it works, man. It's like there's no actual seats. It's like, okay, there's numbers and it's long benches, man. It's just it's steps with a bench on it and that's where you're sitting or standing.
Numbers. Respect and when the numbers.
When it's a mass of people, it just starts compressing and you just turn into a blob at some point. And, there are definitely those folks who go to concerts who, they identify those holes in the crowd and they go for them.
Yeah.
But the Tower Power set, amazing. They did their entire set with an orchestra, which I've never heard before.
So impressive. Lead singer was impressive. My God. I mean, his voice was incredible.
Yeah. The new guy, which is, he was a lot better live than I kind of had anticipated. I hadn't watched a whole lot of videos with him. He was great. The band was great.
Got the funky doctor just kind of holding his hands up at one point. The lead singer asked him a question. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. Doc is, I mean, he's, I'm so glad he's still going, but man, he is, he's in kind of rough shape these days. It makes me kind of a little sad I'm wondering how much longer he's going to actually go out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still loves music. I think he still loves writing. But I don't know how much more touring, he can do. Because he kind of looked like he was leaning on his mic stand the last couple songs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah.
That's a long set. I mean, didn't you say they played for about an hour and a half?
Close to it, yeah.
I mean, it didn't feel like it, but it was a lot of music.
Yeah. Oh no, and they were so great. And the funny part is, so the entire set was with the orchestra and the conductor of the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. For the most part, I mean, they were right on, and he would kind of turn around and he'd be conducting with one hand and looking over his shoulder at the band to make sure he knows what's going on. There was at least one time he just looked completely flummoxed. Like there was some sort of mix up about exactly how many times they were going to go around on a solo.
They went off script.
He literally just kind of shrugged and threw his hands up. At one point, I'm like, that's not what you usually see from a symphony conductor. Just going,
yeah,
I don't know. Just follow them,
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh.
That was awesome. That got a big chuckle for me when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's fantastic.
Well, and there were other moments too where he was definitely kind of trying to, cue them in when there was some sort of cue he was looking for from either the lead singer or from like, I believe you said his name was Emilio, like one of the
Emilio Castillo.
Yeah. Like, so he was watching him. I mean, I was watching him too, and it was hysterical. He'd watch, he'd get ready. It'd be like, and okay, not yet.
Yep. Yep.
And then he would finally drop the hammer because it was time. So,
man, it is two completely different styles of working.
Oh, gosh.
Because when I had my band, it was a funk and soul band. I did it the old James Brown method. I'd be like, okay, here's the basic outline of the song, and there's kind of chunks, and you know what? I might call out that we're going to do another solo, or we might go back to the chorus, or this and that, and it would have that flexibility that you could do stuff like that live. Now, Tower Power is very regimented in their arrangements and stuff, But I can imagine if something goes a little bit different, or if they just kind of decide to change something up and they're not thinking like, oh, and the symphony orchestra is with us, you're going to have some miscommunication there.
Yeah.
There certainly was, at least once, maybe twice. But I mean, at total pros, all around. I mean, in Tower of Power and in the symphony orchestra. And honestly, if you weren't really like paying close attention to the conductor at that moment, you wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not in the least. So yeah, they were amazing. I could have listened to it for another 4 or 5 songs, but that was not to be. Very, very quick changeover for Lettuce. Essentially just had to pull all of Tower Power's stuff out of the way and then bring everyone else's stuff forward. Symphony kind of spread out a little bit. And then Lettuce started off their set with a song that I've never personally heard them play live. I've seen a couple videos of it. It's one of those things that when you hear it on a record coming out of your speakers, it's gigantic.
Yeah.
And I always thought, man, I'd love to hear that. But you worry, like, is it going to come across as this big?
Yeah.
In person. And it's a song called The Force. And I believe it's off their Crush album. That song leading off Lettuce's set with a symphony orchestra. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was transcendently good. That, I mean, and their entire set was with the symphony orchestra was amazing. It was impressive to me how well their music translated to orchestral accompaniment.
Yeah.
And how much it added to it, and how there's one of their songs called Madison Square that has been a favorite of mine for a long time. Used to play it in my band, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is a totally different thing. Like, they added in this extra string part, and it was gorgeous, but it's still just like kicks so much ass at the same time. It was this beautiful thing. Oh my gosh. And so I'm sorry. I just completely shot past all of your opinions on Tower of Power, because this is your first time seeing them ever in concert. So let's rewind. What were your first impressions of Tower of Power?
When they started, and I forget the song that they started with. It was like, I Like Your Style, or
yes.
Yeah, I think so. No, just, it was a great intro by the symphony, and then it just kind of goes into this really, energetic song. And I mean, it was infectious. You couldn't, if you couldn't get up on your feet, you had to have a good health reason not to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no, I mean, I was just captivated by the whole thing. I mean, they were just so good and so fun, and just had, I think there was one point where the lead singer kind of sat and was playing just him on keyboard sort of song, and I think that's when we kind of sat down for a little bit, realized how much my lower back was aching. So like, my back. But no, I mean, they came back, digging on James Brown, Soul Vaccination. I mean, it was fantastic. Let's be very transparent here. I'm a 100th of a fan of Uncle Todd and our friend Jim, who came on and talked about, these men have put hours and hours of their time into their fandom. And I am simply along for the ride. But I love the music. The music was fantastic. Definitely inspired to get back into, playing my bass a little bit more. Although I haven't started, need to get there at some point. But no, it just made me miss playing, and I really, just really enjoyed the music and just the show they put on. So and just being so close, I haven't been that close where I can see their faces and I can see them play and see the emotion. And like you mentioned with the conductor, I mean, sitting way back up there, you would not have caught that detail at all.
No.
And so it was very just a great experience to be able to be like that close and hear them play and see them play and and just experience it all. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't, some of the songs I really didn't know the name of, or like I said, I'm not a diehard fan. So I didn't pick up on some things, but I just appreciated what I heard, and it was excellent. And then Lettuce was just, I didn't know what to expect from it. I mean, I think I think you had made a recommendation for one of our very early in and other things, and I might have listened to them for a little bit, but really came in with no concept of what they were going to put on, and it was really cool. It was probably, I mean, would it be wrong to say that they're just kind of they're not TOP in the sense that they're trying to do TOP, but they're in the same ballpark of genre but doing a more modern take. I mean, it seemed like they were leveraging a lot more effects pedals and bringing kind of, I wouldn't call it like an electronic synth sense to their music, but there was elements of some of those effects coming in. But I really enjoyed the trumpet player was keeping it entertaining. He was working the crowd. I love the cape, not the cape, but the long jacket he was wearing was a cool style to it. And I think he called him Benny, I think is what his name is.
Benny
right?
Bloom.
Benny Bloom.
Benny Bloom.
But he was great working the crowd, just kind of getting them fired up and just played amazing. Saxophone player, I forget his name.
Ryan Zoidis.
He was amazing as well. I mean, just great solos and just solid music from these guys. They were, as I told my family as I was showing the pictures to them that I took, I'm like, you're going to notice there's a bit of a fog as we get into these later pictures. And we were outdoors and there was a breeze, but it was not enough. So
yeah, there was a couple times when, you had told me, like, I was trying to wait to catch my breath until the fog had moved, but it didn't. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. No,
I got 3 different flavors of weed right there. So
yeah, you felt like you owed some money to the people around you. Like, I'm sorry, I was copping off of that. Here's a 5. Here's a 5 for you.
Oh my gosh. So no, it was, but it was great. I mean, it just instrumental. They had some vocal songs, but a lot of instrumental. And I dig that. I love. It was one of the things I always enjoyed. I saw 2 concerts with Rush, and I loved watching them play and just the musicianship and everything. And like I could just look at each one of them and just get something really different from each of them. That was really cool. The bass player. I'll let you fill in the name because I don't know him. Jesus Coombs. Yes. Watching the bass player, I mean, make it look effortless. The way he was playing was just amazing. The guitarist was amazing to watch. The drummer was amazing to watch. I'm forgetting Nigel playing the Nigel Hall playing the keyboards and some vocals. He was phenomenal. So just all around a solid outing from them. And then, the symphony goes off, and sorry if I'm jumping ahead. I'll throw it back to you to get your thoughts, but
no. This is, I'm curious how you're going to phrase this one.
Well, so the symphony exits and Nigel does this announcement and says, "Hey, we're going to take a short break. But we'll be back and we'll do some music." So I'm getting ready to sit down because my back, and all of a sudden the band comes out again. And I think Nigel gets on
a quick conference.
Nigel gets on the mic. He's like, apparently I was mistaken. We're going to start playing now.
Yeah.
So,
which was kind of weird because I'm like, I know you guys have played longer than this, and there's no shifting of anything around. Like the symphony's just walking off.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay.
Yeah. So we were in for a treat there, and so we got another. Gosh, was another hour and a half because it wasn't like a encore or anything.
It was at least an hour of just lettuce.
Yeah.
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 And they played a ton of stuff off there. The newest album they have is called Unify from 2022 this year. And they played a bunch of stuff off of that, which is, I had no problem with it because, oh my gosh, it's a great album. You ought to go listen to it. Download it right now. It's a phenomenal album, and they did a ton of stuff off of that. But they also reached back for some older stuff because they played their version of Move On Up, which is an old Curtis Mayfield song that they covered years and years ago. And I don't know how much they've been playing it lately, but they played it with the symphony, which was awesome. And then in the middle of it, they broke down to just Nigel on piano and vocals. And I couldn't tell. I want to say that he was doing another Curtis Mayfield song in the middle of that song. And then they brought it back to Move On Up, which was just crazy good.
Nice.
But yeah, that whole thing was great. The like false start and then comeback was great.
Yes. Yeah.
And just even their set, like I really feel like this lineup of Lettuce, because I've been following them for years, it really just kind of has solidified. Like it really feels like the band is just like, yes, we know exactly who we are, what we're doing, and all that. And it's really kind of interesting to me because the horn players have more effects pedals, I think, than the guitar player has on stage.
Yeah.
So Adam Smirnoff, Schmeens, he actually I don't think he changed guitars once. Seems to have a pretty clean setup. Like he has a couple effects, but oh my gosh, like Benny and Ryan have way more effects pedals in front of them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me. That's like the horn players are the ones who are like doing all this heavy lifting. And of course, Nigel's got like the circle of death, with keyboards and all that stuff. But yeah, oh my gosh, it's such an incredible band. And of course, Adam Deitch, I'm sure I mispronounced his last name because I've heard it pronounced about 6 different ways and I never know which one. So I just go with that one. The drummer is just otherworldly in terms of the beats that he comes up with and the way that he manages to just drive a song without actually driving it necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just great. Yeah, the whole thing was great. And again, the sound mix was like for 99% of the show was top notch.
Yeah.
Which is not always the case at concerts, because you can go to some shows and it's just like, what's going on here? But one thing that did happen that seems to happen at a lot of shows is by the time the show is ending, like every fader is just getting pushed up, and you get to that point of like, okay, it's now just getting really freaking loud. Like it's just a way to just kind of, I don't know, just bring the audience over the top. But it's like, okay, this is starting to hurt. But thankfully, that was like the last like minute and a half of the show.
Yeah,
for me at least.
Yeah, I think it was the last song or two. And I mentioned this to you in the car on the ride back, was just like, it just felt like the sound mix was great. And then I don't know if they're just trying to take advantage of everyone's high or what they were doing, but it just like, then it got to just an obnoxious like level, and it was most noticeable with the bass. Not that he was doing anything wrong, but just that the reverberation of it was just, it was just getting to a place that was just not pleasant to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like that's the sound mix. I don't think that was anything that he was doing on stage, because there are some like players who are like volume knob jockeys. They're always working the volume, like every time they go to do anything. And aside from like wearing his bass, like so like jazzer high.
Oh my gosh, like, that was the first thing I said to you. I'm like, what is up with how high that's riding?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, that is kind of a jazzer sort of thing. Like you get up there and you have plenty of control and all that stuff. And man, I mean, it's the exact opposite of like, the grunge / rocker thing where you've got like the bass strap as low as possible, so your arm is like almost fully extended to get to the G string on the bass. I mean, I'm just gonna say personally, I like it somewhere in between there. I don't know if I could play up that high. Like I might try it this week just for giggles and just to fail miserably. But yeah, but aside from that, like he isn't messing around with a lot of stuff. Like he's just very much, in the pocket and just doing his thing and just serving the song and all that. So I don't think it was him like ratcheting up his volume on stage or anything.
No.
But yeah, it was getting a little obnoxious, but it was still, oh my gosh. If that's the one complaint, is like the last couple songs got a little loud, I'll take it.
Well, and it felt like toward the end too, they were just getting kind of looser and looser with things, like at one point Benny's just kind of sitting there in the background, and like some guy, like one of their probably group, just their support staff or whatever, just kind of wanders on stage and starts playing like a tambourine or something. It was just like,
that was interesting.
Are these people?
Yeah. But hey, it was all good. I mean,
it was fun. It was fun. And the music, I mean, I'm kind of loading up on their past records, as well as TOP, to listen to that, because I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm just like, man, I I'm very thankful, sir. It is going to come off sound a little mushy when I say this, but I am thankful for friends like you who expose me to this sort of music. You know what I mean? Like I don't wander. My path does not go in this direction oftentimes of my own free will. So I just kind of appreciate the exposure to it and getting to hear, some different quality music. So thank you.
Well, you are quite welcome. We're just trying to keep the funk alive.
Absolutely.
We're just trying to keep the funk alive. So then, of course, quick drive back to the shed. And
hey,
I don't know how
our
much.
location was top notch, sir.
Oh, yeah. Like a 15-minute. It was actually probably from the time we walked out of the show.
Yeah. 15.
I'm going to say, like driving time, yes. I think it took us all of 5 minutes to get out of the amphitheater.
Yes.
And that included me stopping to take a picture. And then to drive, we were back like total 20 minutes. Yeah. Like from the last beat was good choice on finding that place. Cause that was like cake getting out of there. It was great.
This is when the shed started to grow on us because we were 15 to 20 from downtown Denver. We were 15 to 20 from Red Rocks. It was just like the perfect spot.
Yeah, you don't get much better than that in terms of location. So kudos to you for that, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I don't think we made it too late on that night. I think we were tired fairly early.
Well, we were chatting. We were having some of your cookies. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks, Mom, for the cookies.
And then shortly after having the cookies, I just remember like just feeling like really like I just started crashing, you know what I mean? Like just getting really tired. And it was funny. You were asking me some questions and I'm literally struggling to answer them in some sort of English verbal understandable sort of response. I'm like, I just need to go to bed. I wasn't drunk or anything. It was just like, I just like, you just start crashing sometimes. It's like, that's where I was. Mm-hmm. It was very strange.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
It does. It does.
And so then, by the way, quick, not corrections, but additions. So it's Eric Benny Bloom and Eric Jesus Coombs, the trumpet and bass players, respectively. I want to make sure I get all those in there.
And his locks were flowing, Jesus's locks.
Oh, yeah.
With like was the nice. Perfect night, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. The weather, even though we had the rain before, I mean, that, would you not say, was probably a perfect evening to be, witnessing an outdoor concert?
Oh yeah, it was like 70 degrees. It was
nice
perfect.
And cool, breeze blowing through, plenty of weed smoke.
Considering I'd been in the 115 degree furnace that is Arizona before that, and then it was been like consistently like mid 90s in Colorado.
Oh my goodness!
A couple days before that, yeah, I'll take 70 degrees at night. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next day, we were like, all right, well, we got to check out of the shed. Oh, well, this won't take too long. We managed to finally get ourselves out the door of the shed 5 minutes before we're supposed to check out of the Airbnb after thinking we've got plenty of time.
Yeah, we were moving a little slowly.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was the week, the days were catching up with us. But we managed to get out of there, decided, all right, let's go up to Boulder. Let's go get some breakfast. Found another snooze.
Another snooze AM, ladies and gentlemen.
They were like, all right, hey, just dance with the one that brung you, because that's where my friend took me on Monday when I got into town. So I went to Snooze AM 3 times, and I regret nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Do they have like a frequent flyer card or something? Like, should you not have like a breakfast on the house at this point?
I should have like not a gold card, but I should definitely have like a silver card at this point. Got me this time I had to change it up because the 2 previous times I had breakfast tacos. I'm like, I can't do that 3 days in a row here. So I had myself Spuds Deluxe, which is like probably 4 potatoes worth of hash browns with whatever you want on top of them.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
I just decided to join the man they called Tim in the carb orgy that he was in. I was like, fine, whatever. I'm giving up. Heck with protein. Man. And then I got also an upside down pineapple pancake on the side, which was, oh my gosh, so good. So yeah, I was fat and happy. And you got another 30-minute latte because we thought, well, maybe it'll take less time here. No, it didn't. Oh, that's right, you did, because you got another one to go.
At least I wisely got it for the road. So
we were there at least an hour. We know that much.
And let's be honest. I was being very selfish about your breakfast choice because I was thinking about this and I'm like, look, if he has those tacos, we have to get to the airport this afternoon. We don't have time for the afternoon nap. So
yeah.
I don't need your
Thing
phone.
is, I could have used another afternoon nap after all the carbs.
No kidding.
And hung around Boulder for a while, which was cool.
Yes, we did.
Yet another place that we were walking around, and I'm like, I'd love to live here, but there's no way I could afford it.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is so cool, way above my price range. But it was a cool town.
It was
Kind of a cool little area. But we didn't get to stay too long because then it's like, all right, time to get us to the airport and return the rental car.
You missed something.
I did.
You missed the
So
engineering feat.
Oh my gosh, this was a hassle. So I got a poster when we were at Red Rocks because I was like, I need a poster to commemorate this, and those posters are really cool. So bought me a poster for the low price of $40. In my defense, it's a really cool poster, commemorative like Red Rocks theme for Lettuce and Tower of Power.
Nice.
And so they didn't have any tubes or anything that they give you the poster in. They just give you the poster. They got a couple elastic bands at the show. And I was like just nervous the entire show, kind of in the back of my head that someone's going to spill beer on it, step on it, whatever. Managed to get it back unscathed. Then I'm trying to think, how am I going to get this thing back through like airline travel without this getting killed? So I was like, all right, I'll just stop by a Staples. Surely there's a Staples or an Office Max or some sort of office store here in Colorado. Found one, got the tube, got a mailing tube. And I was like, all right, well, I'll ask someone here for a box cutter because I know that these things come in boxes. Like everything comes in boxes.
Yeah.
Therefore you need a cutter to open them.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the fine gentleman who's helping me at Staples, hey, could I just borrow a box cutter for a minute? I just need to hack off the end of this because it's too long and I need it to fit in my suitcase. And the poster is just long enough or wide enough, I guess, that it'll fit in the suitcase, but I can't have this like extra 3 inches of tube on here. The guy looked at me like I was asking him to do like calculus on the spot.
Oh yeah.
Or that I wasn't trustworthy enough to hold something that had like a cutting surface.
We can't help you, sir.
Yeah, like gave me all these different things about, we can't do this, can't do this. Oh, I'm like, okay, so this ain't going to happen. All right, fine. So go outside, and thankfully the man they call Tim is prescient enough that when the guy said at Staples, hey, there's a Home Depot across the street, maybe you can go over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. Because I'm just getting ticked at this point because I'm tired of like, Urkel give me the runaround. So go to get in the car. The man they call Tim says, are you sure you don't want to go over to Home Depot? And so I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go over to Home Depot. I trace the line around the thing of exactly how I need. And this is the difference between Staples and Home Depot. I run across the street to Home Depot, go into like the garden center. First person in an orange smock that I see, he's on the phone. And he's like, hey, what do you need? It's like, I just need to use your box cutter. I need to hack off the end of this tube. Doesn't even ask any other questions. No thought. Just, here you go.
You know why?
Take it, hack it. Minute and a half. I get that done. Hand it back to him. Thanks, you're a lifesaver. Because he recognizes game. Because he's like, this is a dude who knows a box cutter or two.
Because exactly. Service merchandise days, my friend.
Yep. You know, game knows game. He's like, this is a man who knows. He can be trusted with a box cutter. The only problem was it was one of those like safety box cutters, so you don't get the entire blade. You get like a 1/4 inch of razor blade, which I'm like, okay, I can make it work. Almost sliced my thumb like 3 times, but still managed to get out unscathed. Get the poster back in the tube. We're off to the airport.
Off we go.
This is where we should have coordinated a little bit better. So the man they call Tim was flying out at what, like 7:30, 7:15, something like that?
Yeah. Yep.
My flight was at 11:40 p.m.
Which I felt bad about.
About 40, about 4 hours difference.
Mm-hmm.
But since I'm the ride, we have to get to the airport early, rental car, make sure we all get through security. And that way the man they call Tim can get, through with enough time to make sure that he's there. And also so that we can then have like 3 more bourbons at the bar together before his plane gets called, which he doesn't have to rush towards because he's in first class.
That's right.
So they can hold this. It's like a little velvet rope around his friggin' seat, so he doesn't have to worry about anything.
Glorious.
Yeah. And so we sit and reminisce, have our bourbons, and Tim
wonderful.
goes off and heads off.
The idiots
to his
depart.
flight.
We go our separate
Yes.
ways.
And then I had to go from Terminal B, which was pretty nice, to Terminal C, which was like the third world country of JetBlue. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Although the funny part was, like, the JetBlue half of it was kind of like on the more threadbare side, had not been updated a lot.
Oh dear.
If you go the other direction, like the entire Southwest terminal looks like an Apple store. Like, it's brand new. Everything is like white kind of walls and tables and all this. Like, it is. It looks like a freaking Apple store. Like, this does not make sense. Like, I don't think Southwest and think like uppity.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've got plenty of time. So I'm texting and blah, blah, blah. And I'm already trying to just kind of get my head around the fact I'm going to be spending like the next 4 hours sitting in an airport terminal. No, actually, it's like 4.5, 5 hours at this point, because you're still like on the ground. And then this jackhole here texts me and is like, they don't even have any video on my flight. I'm like, oh. He's already got him. Like, they're asking him what he wants for his meal. I'm like, your flight's like an hour and a half. Why do you even get a meal? Like, I barely got a pack of like popcorn tossed at me, on my flight. And so he's getting a meal, and now he's like, oh, there's no video. I'm like, well, perhaps, the flight crew will act out some Hamlet for you and your other first class cronies.
Well, my last flight did. I was just trying to figure out why not this one.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me, I'm not used to this sort of traveling. Be a dear and go back there and rip an iPad out of one of those unwashed ruffians there and coach.
Where's
bring
my
it to me,
Star
will
Trek
you?
The Next Generation? I want to see Jean-Luc while I fly.
Yeah, JL.
Good old JL.
So,
oh man.
So he's texting me about this. I'm like, oh, poor baby. Yeah, as I'm sitting there like next to 3 people with a cough and 5 kids that are like smacking me in the back of the head with a wiffle ball bat. I'm like, I feel so bad for you. And then as I'm kind of texting, I get the notice that, oh, your flight has been delayed. Oh, goody. Until when? 1 a.m. Oh, perfect. So this is what happens, folks. In the time that I'm sitting in the terminal, Tim's flight takes off. He has his meal. I'm sure a couple of scenes
wasn't my Mediterranean bowl, by the way. I had to settle for a burger.
Oh my God.
I settled for a burger.
Yeah, a burger.
And like a chocolate chip cookie brownie sort of thing. It was quite tasty.
Yep. And once again, what did I get? I got some of those pop triangles and seltzer that was warm.
Gosh.
I'm pretty sure the flight attendant put it in his armpit on the way to bring it to me. just to make sure it wasn't pleasant. That being said, no, actually the folks on JetBlue were very nice, and it was, it was nice. But
that's good.
So he takes off, gets his midair meal, a couple of scenes from King Lear, I'm sure, and then lands. I'm still sitting in the same seat I've been in the terminal. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice. That's great. You landed. Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting here trying to avoid the wiffle ball bat, trying to stay sane. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to go catch my cab or my Uber or whatever the hell it is. And then I started getting an increasingly frantic text from him from the back seat of that car.
Which were not spelled the right way, because my fingers were just like running all over the keyboard because of how this maniac was driving.
It was great. I was like, oh, it's the relative of the guy that took us to Denver. Sweet. I got to admit, I did take a little bit of joy in that.
I bet
you were getting
did.
the wits scared out of you. But yet still, by the time I boarded my flight, Tim was just walking through his door from Denver to Chicago. He's walking through his door. I'm finally just getting onto the plane, which was great. That was terrific.
Sorry.
2.5. Well, no, it was 3.5 hours later. Land in Boston, Massachusetts, from where I am going to bus back to Portland, Maine.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for a better experience than I had on the way down to the airport on the bus.
And
because on the way down, there was a woman on the bus, a young woman who was going to Ireland, and she was a student in Ireland, had been a student in Ireland for a couple of years now, was going to college in Ireland and knew a lot about Ireland. I know all of this not because I struck up a conversation with her, but because she wouldn't shut her yap at full fracking volume for the entire 2-hour trip from Portland, Maine to Logan International Airport. So,
how you doing?
That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on the way back, I was like, okay, well, hopefully it's going to be better than that. Well, first of all, I had to stand outside ground transportation at Logan Airport, which, if anyone will tell you, it is the place where you go to question your choices in life. Really?
Oh gosh.
It's like the least welcoming, least scenic, least like comfortable place this side of like the DMV late in the day before a long weekend. You know, it's just not a great place. So I was standing there forever waiting for the bus. Get on the bus. It is like good old JR used to say, it was a butt every 14 inches. Like there's not a spot around. And I'm like wedged in next to this person. I'm like deliriously tired because I've slept 2 hours, and driving up there, and everyone's sweating, everyone's upset, which was the best part about being back in Boston, because I was standing outside there and this old couple went by and they were cussing at each other, like openly, like just ripping each other a new one with like thick Boston accents. And I'm like, then off to the other side of me, I hear honking horns and a steady buzz of construction. I'm like, must be Boston. It's lovely. That and exhaust fumes. Whew! Oh, I'm glad to be back. But yeah, made it back to Portland, and then my lovely wife, the wonderful Mrs. Uncle Todd, was kind enough to make me breakfast. What did she make me for breakfast, you might ask? Breakfast tacos, ladies and gentlemen.
There we have it. We've come full circle.
I know. And you know what? I ain't mad. I tore those things apart, and I was in bed and Napville for like a good couple hours that day. I
bet.
I was incapacitated, but it was great. It was a very fun trip. Thoroughly enjoyed
it's like your
myself.
Kryptonite.
Yeah. Oh, dude, a nap? Oh,
no, the tacos. I'm saying it's like you have those tacos and it just like puts you in a sleepy state.
Well, you know what? If that's the price I got to pay, that's the price I got to pay.
Yeah. It was a wonderful trip.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that everything did get derailed, it would have been lovely if my my dear friend Carrie had been able to go to the concert with her husband. I guess when I'm saying it was a great trip, it was like, well, aside from that, you know, the fact that we did the best that we could after that to kind of adjust.
Yeah.
But it was great to have your esteemed company and guidance and your ninja-like travel skills at hand.
Thank you.
That was helpful. And overall, yeah, like I said, 12 out of 10 would recommend. Ground transportation at Logan, give that about a 4 out of 10.
I was going to say negative 12 out of 10.
JetBlue overall, good experience. I mean, no first class, but you know, I mean, it's a good flight, smooth flight. You know, nice folks. Except for just having to wait a long time. That kind of sucked. But,
yeah.
You know, that's kind of the way that air flight works. But
first class,
overall,
10 out of 10.
You know what? You just had to get that last dig in, didn't you?
That's right. That's right.
But, oh, by the way, so what the crap is going? Oh man, the fire truck. Patrick,
what happened?
Patrick, did you set that dumpster on fire next door again? The fire trucks just went by. It wasn't you, Patrick.
Are you at HQ?
Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye.
He must be at HQ if he's talking to Patrick.
Okay, he says he didn't set the dumpster on fire, so I'm gonna believe you.
Are you at HQ?
Yes.
What?
But not that dumpster. Which dumpster did you set on fire? Oh, gosh. Go hide in the closet again. You know they're going to be here to ask.
Oh, gosh.
They know your routine. Just
like
go hide in the closet.
I like how you have an established protocol with him. Get in the closet.
Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you, dude. I can only take so much. I can only take so much more. I had to record here at the HQ because I like if I'm gonna I couldn't lock myself out on the sweaty sun porch tonight.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I was like, I'll spring for the gas for the drive there and back. But I forgot to mention, for all of our Tom Cruise listeners, ladies and gentlemen,
there we go.
Here's our Tom Cruise news for the episode. Tom Cruise is now the highest paid Hollywood actor. He made approximately, or is expected to make about $100 million off of Top Gun Maverick.
Wow.
Between his cut as a upfront pay as an actor, plus the cut he gets as a producer, then all of the back end like streaming, rentals, all of that stuff, it's estimated to be about $100 million.
That is crazy.
Mavericks made $1.2 billion worldwide. First Paramount movie ever to cross the 1 billion mark.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
It's alien powers, man. Alien powers.
And we're just riding that coattails. 600 and what was it? 51 downloads.
Yeah. Well, what else are we going to do? Ride Vince's coattails?
Can't do that no more.
It's like a slime trail.
And another thing.
So what have you got for and another thing this week?
Well, my and another thing is a show that my wife and I have recently wrapped up watching the first 2 seasons, or the only 2 seasons of. Season 3 is in the offing, from what I understand. Is the morning show on Apple TV Plus, starring Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, and a host of others.
Isn't Reese Witherspoon in that thing too?
Yes, thank you, Reese Witherspoon,
okay.
And then there's another gentleman who's famous actor whose name is escaping me, but as is is often the case with me, I did not do my research, so I look foolish. But nonetheless, great show. I would recommend checking it out. It is a story based around a TV morning show, and I love the fact that it kicks off with really right from the get-go, it kicks off with kind of a scandal that kind of it's a catalyst that launches into everything else that happens across the first 2 seasons, and just the ripple effect of all of it. But really enjoyed the story, which takes a bit of a focus, and especially in season 1, looking at kind of the world through the female perspective a bit, and kind of shining a light on the challenges, and it's all fictional, but it is shining a light on I believe real challenges that are faced when you're kind of put into certain situations, and so I think they do a really artful way of kind of telling those stories and bringing them to light through the main narrative of this kind of scandal that rocks the show and rocks the network that the show is on. And so yeah, I would just highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. I mean, once again, a little bit behind the times, not 10 years, maybe 2, but I would definitely check it out. It is the morning show on Apple TV Plus, and it's really good. So check it out.
Very nice. Very nice.
What about you, sir?
Well, I'm going to go with a book that has been on my to read list. I think I might have gotten this one from Tim Ferriss, but it could have been any number of folks out there, because I've started, and I would recommend this hack to anybody. I've started with a note in my on my phone. I just have a to read list note on the app, and I kind of just, whenever I'm getting short on books, or if I'm at a library, or if I'm at a used bookstore or something like that, I take that out and I see if I can find anything. And this was on that list, and so kind of on a little book buying spree a little while back, kind of looking forward to this trip, I purchased this book, and
Nice.
It's called Reincarnation Blues by Michael Poore. And this is a crazy ride. It really is interesting. And it's so funny because I don't think I actually read any of this description that I'm kind of jaunting through right now, and I'm realizing just how much in the wheelhouse this is for me, because it's one of the reviews says Tales of Gods and Men akin to Neil Gaiman's Sandman as penned by a kindred spirit of Douglas Adams. And there's two of my binkies right there. And then this book made me laugh out loud. And then a page later, it made me sob, reminiscent of Tom Robbins and Christopher Moore. Horror finds humor in the dark absurdities of life. Tom Robbins is another one of my binkies. So this is like right in my wheelhouse.
Nice.
I'm just going to give you kind of like the tagline, because I don't want to spoil anything. That there's a little bit in the description that will kind of push you into the story a little bit sooner. I would actually recommend just getting this book and diving into it. But it's the kind of quick description is a wildly imaginative novel about a man who is reincarnated over 10,000 lifetimes to be with his one true love, death herself.
Interesting.
And it goes all over the place, and there's parts in it that are uproariously funny, and there's also parts that will just tug on your heartstrings, and there's parts that are kind of disturbing too. Like it covers the gamut, but it is so well written,
nice,
so well crafted, and really does, there's a lot of strings that get pulled, and they all kind of get tied up at the end in a very artful way.
Nice.
So I would highly recommend folks to give this a read. Reincarnation Blues.
Very cool.
Well, folks, we do certainly appreciate you all tuning in. Once again, it is time for us to bid farewell to all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. Thank you for listening to our travel log of idiocy, and also for our complete BSing about professional wrestling and fantasy booking stuff that will never happen. If you're still around, by God, buy yourself a drink on us, please, which is really essentially equates to buy your own, because you have no way of getting money from us because we don't make any money off of this. The joke's on all of us. But thank you all very much. We do appreciate all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. If you have not yet joined the congregation, it's very simple. All you have to do is to follow our podcast. Subscribe. Yes, that's what it's all about. Smash that subscribe button wherever it might be, or, click it. Whatever works for you. We're not here to advocate violence against subscribe buttons. That's just not our thing. We are all about empowering subscribe. Where the hell am I going with this? But you just can subscribe to the podcast. That's what you got to do. So you find us at freerangeidiocy.com. That'll take you right to our Podbean page. You can subscribe to the Podbean app. You can download all of our episodes right there. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are also on iHeartRadio, Alexa, a whole bunch of others. Chances are, if you search for Free Range Idiocy, you're going to find us. If not, I want you to send an email to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. Let him know which podcast purveyor that you would like to find us on. I'll see about hooking that up for you. Also, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or suggestions for shows, hell, even offers of outright bribery, send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. If you want to let Tim know that he is just out and out bougie and that he needs to sit back with people in coach rather than riding in first class, I want you to send that to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. You can also like us on the social medias. We are on the Twitter. We are on the Facebook. We are on the Instagram. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the portion of the show where I stop flapping my gums, but not before. And oh my gosh, is this ever prescient for this show as it has ever been in any other show? Not before I ask the second most important question ever asked by humankind. The first, of course, being...
What is hip?
Thank you. The second being, the hell did we learn this episode?
We learned the following, my friend.
Good.
We've learned that Uncle Todd is looking forward to the fantasy-booked Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho crossover promotion of Doom.
I'd buy the snot out of that. Are you kidding? It's never going to happen, but oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, he's looking forward to it now that we talked about it. We've also learned, ding dong, Vince is gone. New management may mean new approaches to the WWE and the content they produce, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes in the next 6 months. We shall see. Might even mean we go back to watching pay-per-views and doing our old pay-per-view episodes, because we might actually be able to tolerate things again.
Could be. Or it could just be the Triple H Reign of Terror Part 2.
Indeed. We have also learned Red Rocks is a definite destination venue to take in a show. Highly recommended by both of us idiots on this show. So if you have an opportunity, do check it out. It is amazing, wonderful, and is just fantastic. Had a wonderful time. Took in phenomenal music. So do check it out if you can. We've also learned TOP, Tower of Power, and Lettuce brought the funk, and they brought it big time. So if you have an opportunity to see either of those bands in your local area, do check it out.
Yes, indeed.
We have also learned the man they call Tim is a maven for First Class. So just, highly recommended if you can swing it. So
yeah, when it's all by himself, he goes First Class. When it's going to be someone else staying with him, where's a good shed? Anyone got a shed I can stay in? When it's him and his family, like, oh, don't give me the close-up tickets. Give me the ones that are back there for like $5 a piece.
I was going to get to that. One other thing we've learned is the man they called him should not select the Airbnb.
My goodness, great location, but a shed nonetheless.
Yes. And
well,
finally,
as we all know, shed happens.
That is true. We've also learned that breakfast tacos, if you ever need to get, lull Uncle Todd into sleep, if you need to rob him or anything like that, just give him breakfast tacos. He goes out within an hour.
Oh, yeah. So good. Love me some breakfast tacos.
Oh, my gosh.
I just ate a full meal not that long ago, and right now I'm thinking, I still got time to run to the store and get some tortillas. I can make those tonight.
Don't do it.
I know, but it's good.
Man. We have also learned the Whiskey Bar. If you're ever in Denver, check it out. Good place. Dave won't do you wrong, so do check it out.
Tell him the idiot sent you.
Indeed. And finally, not something we've learned, but just in general, a big thank you to Uncle Todd for the motivation, inspiration, the gifting of a ticket to go see such a great show. Very much appreciate it. Had a wonderful time. It was great hanging out. It was great breaking bread and chatting and just getting some time to kind of talk and discuss life. So it was a very good trip. Enjoyed it. And again, highly would recommend Red Rocks if you have not been.
Just go to the merch table at the top.
That's right. Beware, make sure you brought everything before you descend those steps, because let me tell you, the climb back is something else. Let me tell you. I think I'm still recovering from it. With all that being said, we thank you, as Uncle Todd has already covered. We thank you for the listenership. Thank you for the downloads. And as we like to close things out, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. And well, as we've already said, because what is hip is the most important question. Please remember to hit the lights on the way out, because we just can't seem to remember to save our lives.
That's right, I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
Patrick, no, they haven't come by. They're coming soon, though. Yeah, just get back in there, man. I don't want you to get dragged off with the popo. All right. They aren't coming. I just need a little quiet around here. That's all.
That's what you do, huh? Kind of threaten them with the fire department and then toss them into a closet, huh?
Well, yeah.
Is that considered the Uncle Todd sanity protocol?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Now get the hell out of here!